Oh, wait. Jason's not here. No!
What happened?
I don't know. Guys, welcome to the first stream of the year for Phoenix Late and Jason's gone.
Is my audio in?
No, I think so, but your camera has disappeared. Why?
That's what you want.
We literally just did this. Like we just did it.
Well, we're off to an auspicious start. Good evening, everybody.
Yep. Hang on just a second, y'all, while I figure this out. Yeah, your camera's not on the.
You want me to jump out and jump back in, huh?
How does this happen? No, hang on just a second.
I'm just doing little dance moves because nobody can see me.
All right, hang on. I'm gonna add you back in, and it's gonna work, and everything's gonna be fine. No issues. What the heck?
You gotta love it. Well, good evening, everybody. While Jeremy is working on
I got it.
technical stuff, you
There
got
we
it.
We're here.
All
Okay.
right.
Hey.
Awesome.
All right, now I'm gonna do the intro again, real quick. Hang on. Welcome everyone to the first Phoenix League live stream of 2023. I am your host, resident Rin apologist and YouTube slacker Chaos Theory, and we are joined by eternal meditator of natural disasters, ImpossibleGerman.
And Turtle Guard advocate. Don't forget that part.
Right, definitely that too.
I'm the only one.
Can everyone in the chat, real quick, tell us if everything sounds and looks okay before we go any further?
That would be good.
And by everyone, I mean Jared.
Thank you, Clue. While we're getting some feedback on AV and everything, we just want to take just the first little bit to say thank you so much, everybody, for all the support that Phoenix League has already gotten. It has been a really fun couple of weeks to see everybody talking about it and just sharing the vibes and everything. So, man, it's been really, really cool so far. So I'm really excited to jump into our first commentary tonight and really just kind of dive deep into what Phoenix League is. And so I really don't think we're going to waste too much time before we jump into our game tonight. What do you think, Jeremy?
Yeah, it looks like let me switch over to our gameplay and hopefully everything still works.
Yep,
all right, cool.
I see waves in the cap. So real quick, while we jump in on the spectators, we are gonna. Oh, yep, we got it working. Yep. Awesome. Thanks for all the technical support, Jeremy. So we've got a Phoenix League match tonight between Waves and the Cap. So a little background on these two players. They're both long-standing members of the community. Waves has run a few tournaments. He's running the Winter Open right now, and he ran the Adventuring Party tournament. And then when he builds decks on his own, he's always doing really fun offbeat stuff. And then the Cap has made a cut a couple of times. He's most famous for running his Echo. He's really big into building creative bypass decks that get past your blockers. And so that's kind of his vibe. These are both really great players, and I'm excited to see them go tonight.
For sure. And it looks like you called it too, because Cap is on Echo.
That is my goal. Is I kind of want to be the Tony Romo of. He's an NFL commentator famous for like calling plays before they happen. So if I can,
wait, hold on. Are you explaining a football metaphor to me?
I'm sorry. It's on the brain. By the way, I just want to point out there's 10 minutes left in the third quarter of this Dallas Cowboys playoff game. They're up 24-0, and I'm still pretty sure they're going to lose. That's how much of a realist I am about the Dallas Cowboys. All right, we've got Echo versus Lulu. Waves loves Lulu. He's talked to me about that. He's ran her a couple times and other things. So we've got Illusion on both sides and Sympathy on both sides, but Waves has the nature dice, and that could be really good because pings are kind of necessary. against all these salamanders and snappers that are running around. And it looks like, I mean, with the 5 nature dice, Waves got pinged to go around is what it's going to look like. So this is going to
Things,
be a fun
and
matchup.
we can almost certainly expect molten gold. Molten gold with Phoenix Barrage is quite a lot of potent burn available, and a dice
Sympathy
spread that,
pain on the table.
and sympathy pain, of course. So yeah, there's a lot of potential burn in here, and pretty good roll looks like for both players actually.
Yep, it's going to be good. This is not a matchup that I would expect to go to mill anyway. So these meditations are going to be pretty unimpactful, I would guess. So we've got Lightbringer coming out of the gate on Echo side. No surprise there. Peacocks are still good, Jeremy. I don't know if you knew that.
They most certainly are. Still one of the best conjurations in the game. Just really good at forcing your opponent's hand and making them play to your dance to your drum, so to speak. Let's see. We've got some discard action going on here. It looks like a Sonic Swordsman and Shepherd of Lost Souls. Both things we'd certainly expect to see in this deck.
Yep.
Uh,
Amberroot Lizard on the other side. Lulu's other unique card. You really don't see Lizard anywhere else. We got Polarity Mage and Battle Seer being discarded from Waves. So, okay, both of these players so far, I mean, it's just good stuff, right?
yeah.
These are all really, really good cards. There's the Salamander Monk.
The Polarity Mage is kind of interesting, actually. I wonder if
It
they're
is.
using that for like their own alterations, or if they were expecting, the ever-present Fiona matchup in competitive Ashes.
Yeah. Anti-mind maze tech is certainly at a premium. Clue is asking in the chat for a little more zoom on the board if that is something that we can facilitate.
More zoom on the board. I could do that, I think.
Yeah, try to see if you can get a little tighter in.
Does that work? Yeah, y'all tell me if that worked.
Maybe so. Okay, so we're loose now. The goose is loose. We've got Squall Stallion on the other side. So that kind of gives some
Ooh,
context to our Polarity Mage. I'm now almost certain that's going to be used to get explosive growth onto those stallions.
that
So
does make
the decks
sense.
are the
Should have
decks
known
are
by the
coming
dice
together.
spread, actually, that would have been the
Yeah, and that
case.
was kind of what I was thinking. But you also have one thing I've always kind of like had in the back of my head is that like Fade Away can be a really good card for just getting round over round value. And I haven't seen a lot of people experiment with like, you do Polarity Mage and Fiona to get Mind Maze back over and over again, but you could do that anywhere with Fade Away. And so we may
Mhm.
see something like that, but really I think that plan A for those Polarity Mages is going to be the explosive growths. So
One
we're
interesting
just
thing to
laying down
note
the books.
in this is that Waves has spent 2 dice without putting anything on the board yet. Those book taxes are coming to play hard in round
Yeah.
1, so Waves is essentially on 8 dice um, as far as board presence goes in round 1, which is definitely a setback. And it looks like Echo's going to be mostly all 10 dice on board, so this could be kind of playing on the back foot for Waves.
Yeah, I think it's really tough. I think it's really tough in any game to get away with more than one book tax. I mean, you see it on you see it with Gilder a lot. Gilder is definitely a book that justifies that book tax.
I'll be right back.
Um,
Sorry, I spilled water all over my desk.
Oh, that's fun. Okay, so we've got damage in on the board, and I think that both players have made some good moves. So we got some guard pressure by putting that divine die on the Salamander Monk to threaten the Emberroot Lizard. That's a 2 dice for 2 dice trade because the Emberroot Lizard has that book tax, and it worked for the cap. He got Lulu to break her guard, and so you got to remember, anytime your opponent's guard is broken, you've essentially given all of your units stock for the rest of the round. And since I have to imagine that we're going to be seeing some knights on the Echo side and things like that, that's going to be really potent. But what Waves got in exchange for defending that Emberroot Lizard was the ability to spark it, go ahead and ping off that Salamander Monk and get some damage in on Echo. And so long term, I think it's just going to come down to dice efficiency. That's the only reason that I think Waves could be in a little bit of a dicey position is just because if you look at his dice right now, he's down 4, and he's got 3 less health than Echo. Those things just add up. It's a game of inches with Ashes. The good news is that he does have the Butterfly Monk, which makes up a little bit for Lulu having her guard broken. And so, considering that Cap probably doesn't have a way to just ping that Butterfly Monk off, that could be good. You do, however, lose it right here to Lightbringer, and this is why Lightbringer is just so good, as you can isolate the opponent's units that they really want to leave back, and make them attack, and so that's going to be pretty potent here. So I think this is a really good usage of Lightbringer. We'll see what Jeremy says when he gets back.
Seems really good to me. I spilled, I don't know how to say this. Like, it's just an absurd amount of water on my desk. Like, it is crazy. All of my minis, most of my Gunpla, all my dice, just, yeah. Anyway, so that was really distracting, and I'm gonna try and catch up here a little bit.
I wanna commend you. You didn't sound as distressed by all this water as you probably could have. Like,
Yeah, I try to keep keep my cool on stream and all that nonsense. So one thing that's really concerning about this right now is look at the dice disparity here. Like,
and again, it comes back to
Lulu has 3 dice. Waves has 3 dice available. Echo has only spent 3. Still has a book up. Ooh, Excavate. Interesting. Is that a hard call out on the Squall Stallion?
It seems to be. What else would it be? No, okay, maybe not. Because Waves also has
maybe.
Huntmaster colors.
Still, that's a really great first 5 pick.
That's a really great first 5 call.
How does Excavate work? Do I click the one I want?
Yes,
I think so.
Want to make sure he doesn't misclick.
But yeah, that's pretty wild, because the Cap will get to draw another card here, and it's potentially accounted for that, and might be able to even play the card that they draw. Who knows?
Yeah,
what worth
noting that
Shepherd?
Waves does have Fate Reflection and Color with those wolf dice, but he didn't have it in hand.
Yeah. You'd have to call out it's one thing to call out a specific unit with a damage-based removal spell like that, but it's another thing to also call out, like, that they would play something like that you could reflect, especially Echo. Usually if Echo's got an action spell in hand in round 1, it's something like Chaos Gravity, or
Got it.
All
right, so
Battlesphere might help.
Yeah, it's going to help a lot, especially since Echo's guard is down. So the next thing that comes out, and the other thing is that Salamander Monk is already off the table. It's just an exhausted spirit, and so this Snapper, it's going to be able to go in on the Battleseer, but it's not necessarily a good idea because Battleseer has alert. So, all right, what are we looking at? There's a Knight. It's either Sonic Swordsman or it's Realm Walker. We're wrong. It's Gates.
Yeah, that's what I was a little worried about. Someone in chat called it out. I can't remember who it was, but
yep.
Yeah, Gates is really good here. Fortunately, the Lightbringer. I was gonna say, like, Battleseer can tank a lot of this, but not with Lightbringer coming out. It's gonna force that. Now, it's a very healthy Battleseer, and Butterfly Monk on the table is good too. There's not a ton of damage coming in from Echo here.
You can kill the Battleseer if you do nothing
with the guard down. You can kill the Battleseer for sure.
Who's got first player? Who's got top of round?
Okay, and it looks like it's Waves. It looks like the Cat is going to go for the kill on the Battleseer, which is smart.
So here's the good news. The good news is that there's not going to be a ton of damage on either Phoenix Born. You're
Oh
going to be
wait, this
looking
is
at
going to be
two
a full clear actually because of Snapper getting the
Snapper
spirit.
Spirit. Yep, nice.
Mhm.
But here's the upside. If Waves hits a Wrath on the top, he's right back in this game.
Could
You
be,
can
yeah.
kind of get a pretty good clear on this board. But yeah, really well played first round for the Cap. So we'll see how much damage he converts towards the top of round 2 here. But here's the thing. There's a really potent plan A in place in Squall Stallion on Wave's
Right.
side of the board. And so if he can kind of get out of this and kind of overcome the velocity of that gates open, the game's not over. Not by any stretch of imagination. The hard
Well,
part for Waves is over. He's got the book taxes paid for.
ooh,
And there we
Miss
go. There's a
Typhoon.
Miss
Yeah.
Typhoon.
Well,
Great.
keep in mind
Awesome.
too that Waves had to spend 2 dice in that first round on
Yep.
books, and considering 2 dice behind, I think came out pretty well
Came out pretty good.
in that. I
Yeah.
mean, Echo had the massive board state, but like Echo also has more damage, and only 1 damage on Lulu, and that kind of open with a gates thrown open.
Yeah.
Opening, like that's actually
Yeah.
not. Basically, the Cap had to sink a lot of resources into gaining the board, and now he's lost the board. But that said, Wave's still down quite a bit of dice here. Elected to use the nature power to ping away the snapper for a full board clear. So again, playing 7 dice to Echo's 10, so still behind on dice advantage.
Fine. Yeah.
Waves has
there's a couple things
a lot to make up.
Yeah, there are a couple things I want to note here. The first is that I'm going to wax philosophical for a second here. You've got a gates thrown open start with 3 of the absolute best units in the game against some underrated stuff, against Stallion, against Lizard, against Butterfly Monk. And the game is thus far not a blowout by any stretch of the imagination. And I really think that speaks a lot to the health of the balance in Ashes overall. You do have top decks, you do have top cards, but they're not going to be blowouts, and you can always pilot your way out of any kind of jam. And I think it's very possible that we'll see
Realm Walker.
see Waves do that here. Realm Walker is really good. The second thing that I wanted to point out
Realm
is
really good.
Realm Walker's really good. And then also, if you remember the Excavate from last round, Excavate discards 3 cards and you get to put 1 into hand. And it was a Shepherd that Cap put into hand. And so, he's got just the 3 books and they're little guys. And so that may not be a ton of pressure without gates to double up. But he does have a way to pull Knights out of the discard with Shepherd. And it looks like he hit Realm Walker naturally. And so we could see 2 Knights this round. Cap is going to be able to keep the pressure up really well, I think.
I want to point out that there's a Knowledge Seer in the Cap's discard, which is kind of crazy.
It is cool.
That's really cool.
Demon.
I wonder. Yeah, Demon Book as well. So a flex start available instead of the gates thrown open, or maybe just looking to draw into it and med. Butterfly Monk comes down. It's gonna get exhausted and Lulu's gonna take 3 to the face, but or Lightbringer, just electing to hold off on that swing and force the Butterfly Monk. Yeah, it's interesting though, because the Butterfly Monk might get some healing here on this attack, and it gets to pressure. I mean, the Lightbringer's just gonna eat it. I don't think he's gonna break his guard over this, but.
Hey, Jeremy, pop quiz. What's the difference between the Cap and myself?
I don't know. It didn't meditate his signature cards? I don't know.
That is correct. There are 0 Chaos Gravities in the discard right now, which means depending on how that draw went for him, because he's running 3, Chaos Gravity is the kind of signature that you're always going to have 3 of. So
yep, more than halfway through the deck, it's likely that Echo has it.
I would say almost guaranteed, unless he's been very unlucky indeed. So let's see how this goes. What's going on in chat? We have a a shout out to Transmute Magic. Transmute Magic hit the discard pile for waves.
I cannot believe the amount of transmute magic that's being played in the last 2 days or whatever. It's
crazy.
kind of crazy. Very cool art. In fact, you asked me once what like I would pick if I got Builder of the Year for my playmat art. I mean,
Transmute Magic would be a great choice.
It's a pretty good
it's
option.
A really good.
So the Butterfly Monk went into the Realm Walker. This is very interesting. He's electing to attack with the Lightbringer and just holding off on Realm Walker. Just, biding. Cap is biding their time. And it makes me wonder if they have some kind of like attachment they want to put
That's
on
clutch. That's clutch. Clutch.
Yeah, the Raptor Herder is great here. Will this punish the Caps holding off on attacking with that Realm Walker? Now that they have a blocker up.
It could, but again, I really think so. If I look at the 6 dice, my guess is we're gonna be seeing Shepherd into Sonic Swordsman and a Chaos Gravity. That's exactly 6 dice.
Could be. They still have Snapper up though.
Here's the Salamander. Yeah. Okay, so maybe not that one exactly.
Yeah, I wonder why they're holding off on the Realm Walker so long. Really makes me curious. Could be they want. Well, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, my guess is that they're going to want to use Salamander and Snapper to kind of pick on the little units, and use Realm Walker to get a really juicy target.
You know what? Could be. Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, could be that they're waiting for Squall Stallion to come out so they can swing into that, survive, and then Chaos Gravity and swing again.
Yeah. Let's see what happens here. I think it's likely you're going to see a Sally attack into Hatchling or Herder or something like that. That's one of the things that Salamander Monk is so good at in situations like this. Like, you can just poke and poke and poke, especially with Snapper to get it refreshed.
Mm-hmm.
Man, Raptor Herder's so good.
It's pretty good.
It's so good, man.
Pretty good.
Especially with all the cars going around. I really feel like just after that round 1, that was such a smooth inclusion of Excavate there. And it's like there's so much time magic going around, but you don't see Excavate a ton. When that card got first spoiled, there was a lot of talk about how impactful it was going to be, just because in colors like Time, you don't have a lot of like direct damage effects, and so everybody kind of thought that Excavate was going to be a big deal, but we haven't seen just a whole ton of it in my experience. So it's really smart that Cap's got it in this list here. It's so clutch, especially like in the Realm Walker versus Realm Walker matchup where you need as many instances of 3 damage as you can get. Excavate's just a really good card, man.
I agree. I like it quite a bit. It was a good first 5 pick against this. I mean, this dice spread is kind of interesting. It's a little weird. But like there's a lot of good targets. You got Huntmaster, you got Horse, you've got Frostback Bear. Frostback Bear trading even, of course, but like, there are good targets for it to hit. Hey, it's the treatment in the chat. Welcome, the treatment.
What's he saying? He's probably saying something stupid.
Oh, he's starting crap,
Yeah.
Saying, what's up, everyone? I'm here. No, I'm sorry. No, we're glad to see you.
While treatment is being brought up, I just want to point out I don't think that I took the time today to give you props for the meme that you made. That might have been your best.
Oh, the meme with the Paris flag, or not the Spain flag, not Paris. Paris doesn't have flag. Okay, so Raptor Herder attacking the Salamander Monk.
I wonder what's going on. So we got some technical difficulties from the Cap, is what we're hearing. He's like seeing an exhausted Realm Walker on his screen and garbage like that. So it's weird.
Hopefully they get that figured out.
Yeah. And it means we can finally start yelling at Dijon
Oh,
for
I'm
all the
sorry.
crime.
That was not. I'm dumb. That was Salamander attacking Raptor Herder. I was like, that doesn't make any sense, but that's why. So guard broken from Lulu. Gonna beef up the Stallion once more and pass. That is interesting.
Do you
Well,
like
now,
Pat?
now,
Wait,
now
wait,
the
I do like because of the dice count.
okay. So
That's
yeah, Gravity Flux, and then attack with the Realm Walker so that they can't trade. Which,
sharp.
yeah, with the guard broken, it's pretty rough. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Well, so here's the thing.
It
This
does
is not
force
the world.
the Gravity Flux to like beef up the Stallion because then it would trade. But
Yeah. The like this is not the world's greatest attack. Like you're just gonna exhaust a hatchling or the herder. The reason you're seeing it is that Cap has chaos
almost
gravity.
certainly has Chaos Gravity. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's KC, and I'm in the bed, and I'm listening to Phoenix League in the bed.
In the bed, treatment on the toilet. You know, it's just what are you gonna do? So
Yeah, so Gravity Flux gets a free kill on the Stallion, exhausts the Raptor Hatchling, and we will see
it's
probably a
bad.
Chaos Gravity come down here any minute. Snapper's going to give the Monk Spirit. It's pretty rough. I mean,
Yeah, I
uh,
think this
the
is
Cap
just 2 rounds
has like,
in a row where Cap has played really well.
well, and the Cap has like every good trade available here. Plenty of ways to. This is what's so strong about Salamander Snapper. It's not. I mean, it is also 100% like that. Both of these units are really really strong together and both like create enormous amounts of dice advantage just by existing, but they also just create a tremendous amount of like um, pressure on the opponent's guard with Salamander Monk, and then leading into value trades for days. Like they just can trade all over the place. Snapper is hard to get off the board, and Monk Spirit can't be attacked. So you just have these two units that ultimately are just going to pressure really hard and just trade up. Which is, yeah, it's really good. Sparked
So
Emberroot
where is
Lizard.
this? Yeah, where's this going? Oh, I don't know if I like that.
Hmm. Pinging the well, there's not really a great target for the ping besides Realm Walker. He really does need to set up the kill so that try and get rid of it.
I think
And
I might have like killed the salamander spirit or something like that.
well,
You know
this
what? I
way,
don't like this attack either because what you should have done is taken the snapper into the exhausted Emberroot lizard so that you don't get the spark off here. Unless
yeah, the
he's got
spark
fate
is
reflection. Yeah, he's
could
gonna
have
fate
fate.
reflect
Yeah, could
part.
have fate reflection. We'll see.
Yeah. Ooh, waves. What are you doing? I don't understand some of these. Maybe I'm just not getting in their head enough, but like
Waves
I
passed.
yeah, man, you spark the yeah, man, you spark the realm walker there. I
Yeah, I think you have to. If it eats a fate reflection, it eats a fate reflection. Like
fate reflection.
that's, you got double duty out of that die. Uh,
Yeah.
like and force them to use a key reaction to stop the Realm Walker death. Now, okay, well, Nature's Wrath will do the trick.
No,
No,
he
it got
just netted.
discarded. It got discarded. My bad. Okay, okay, I see. He meditated Nature's Wrath and passed. I'm covering up the game log with the chat, so sometimes I don't see exactly what's going on here.
A really, really weird pass. So many things I didn't understand about that final sequence. Things I just wouldn't have
Whoa.
done. But this is
Wait, hold
part
on.
of
How
why
many dice did the cap have?
the
3,
cap
right?
had 4 dice
What?
left. Four.
What?
4 dice. I'm not fully understanding that one, but
Maybe
maybe
they
we can get a little
didn't. Maybe
breakdown.
they didn't have chaos gravity.
That would be so wild though. Like
I feel like if you
I'll tell you
had
what,
chaos gravity, there's like no way you pass there, right?
no, hell no. There's not. And if like What it could have been is like, because I said at the top of round, I was like, if he doesn't have it, he's very, very
Has
unlucky
to
because he
save the
had like,
Realm Walker. Oh, because yeah, duh. Because he Waves meditated up to a nature power, which means he didn't have a fate reflection.
yeah. So he didn't have Fate Reflection, and he didn't have Chaos Gravity. He probably didn't have
Okay, we're just
Chaos Gravity.
assuming best case scenarios in the hand right now, and that's probably why we were
Probably
surprised.
that's actually maybe. Yep.
Yep. Well, that's interesting. I mean, it would have been a total blowout round if the cap did have those two cards in hand, but without it, I mean, I guess yeah, if your books are all exhausted and you don't really have a way to protect the Realm Walker, then passing makes perfect sense. I would trade, 4 dice spent on dubious value to keep my Realm Walker alive going into next round,
Yep.
especially when I have top around swing and Lightbringer book.
Yeah, I think it'll be really interesting to kind of chat with these guys after the game.
Wait, huh?
There's a Phoenix
Who
Barrage.
has first player? Oh, okay, I see. The cap attacked the hatchling with Lightbringer. And
Oh.
got kind of punished for it.
Are you
Yikes.
behind a little bit?
I might be behind a little bit.
I think you're behind a little bit. We just had a Phoenix Barrage
Yeah,
on my end.
I see the Phoenix Barrage, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So really, really punished that attack with the Lightbringer, as opposed to using the Realm Walker when he had the opportunity.
Yeah.
Of
But
course,
what that could mean, in my opinion, is that like, what if he still doesn't have Chaos Gravity in hand? Because to me, if you get top of round, he could have used Gravity Flux, because Waves had 2 units on the board, right? So he could
yep.
have used Gravity Flux and then gotten in with the Realm Walker, and then started untapping crap with Chaos Gravity. So it's possible that he's still not hit Chaos Gravity, and that could explain some of the ways that he's Adept Duelist.
Duelist
How
is
about that?
really, really good.
Really good versus these Sparks. Yep.
Well,
And it's
Carl
casually.
pointed out that he didn't spark the Umber Root Lizard here, and that's going to lead to a oh, never mind. It lead to a Figures in the Fog.
How about
Okay,
that?
well, how about that? They're playing pretty fast actually, or at least it feels like it as a commentator. Because like I'm still trying. I'm like, whoa, there's so much happening right now.
Yeah.
So now we're
Man,
gonna see the spark and the swing, possibly killing the shepherd to get rid of the blocker, and then pressure the adept duelist, or attacking the shepherd and pinging the adept duelist. Yeah, either one.
good call. Um, I think this is just another situation where like you just got to look at these dice counts. Right now it's 7-3, and there's just a lot of turn left for the cap, whereas
Yeah,
the
but
waves.
the thing is though, like the cap. Okay, so the cap passing last turn made up for all of
It
the
did.
dice disadvantage that Waves had through this game. Because he was down 2 dice. Well, almost all. He was down 2 dice in the first round, 3 dice in the second round, with like an even board state, and
Uh,
now, made 4 of that back up. Echo has got 7 wounds. I mean, yeah, he's still a little bit behind on dice, but it's crazy because like round after round, Waves is spending dice less efficiently, but and yet is kind of like staying ahead on the damage game, which given Waves's dice spread, like the amount of burn that they have access to, could be a problem actually.
it could be, yeah. So we've got if he's running the full suite of Moltons, then we've got 2 Moltons and 2 Phoenix Barrages left. That's 10 Phoenix burn damage right there. So, and he could theoretically do that all in one round, which is kind of terrifying when you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
We are gonna see some damage made up for here. Man, it's really there's been some little bitty moves that Waves has made that have just been so clutch, like meditating up to that nature power die to force the pass out of the cap so that he could save his realm walker. Like that's just sharp, man. That's really, really good stuff. It's the little things.
Okay, so now we have dice parity, and
Yep.
the board state is interesting. And ooh, for a minute there, I thought he played another Phoenix Barrage, but I was like, wait, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
2 dice.
No, he meditated one. That's painful.
Still not electing not to use the spark. But he does have his guard up, so I guess he doesn't have to use it right away necessarily. It's funny, like Squall Stallion hasn't really done a whole lot this game. and yet
And the deck
Waves is
clearly
like,
built.
hanging in there,
Yeah.
Did not Phoenixborn guard. Wonder if they are wanting to get the Squall Stallion out and start doing stuff, and they wanted to save their guard for that.
Yeah, maybe so.
In the face of a Realm Walker that can kill it, that could be why they didn't do that. It still sucks though that that's 2 times that spark value has been.
Yeah, Carl's in the chat and he's saying that he's lost a lot of potential value from Spark. Treatment
Yeah.
saying that too. And that could, especially with all these little units out there, that really could be the difference. It sucks to see that lose. Like Spark is so good if you get full out of it.
It's, I mean, it arguably, if you don't get full value out of it, it's questionable of like what.
Yeah, I agree.
What it's doing sometimes. I mean, Ember Roots, obviously, it's really good with Ember Root, but we're talking like, I mean, if you get the Ember Root swing and you spark, that's 3 points of damage for 1 die off a Phoenixborn ability, which is pretty legit.
Okay, so I'm not exactly Tony Romo, but the whole, hey, maybe Cap doesn't have Chaos Gravity is looking more and more likely because there's now 2 of them.
Agreed. There's a Cloudburst Griffin book in the discard too. There's a lot of like book flexibility in this list. Okay, so we have 1 Divine Die up, 1 Nature Power up.
Yeah, he just wants to trade with this.
Yeah, I think you trade with the Snapper. Echo's Guard, yeah, is still up too.
Worth noting, like Cap may convert some damage here, but Waves has top around, so he has the opportunity to come back and recover, even if this final sequencing doesn't fully go his way.
Yeah, Carl got a good point that those small instances of ping with the sparks are what can even the matchup with Sally and Snapper, and that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Like,
so true,
Spark has enormous potential to make up a lot of that value, stay even with it. So, Divine Die on Realm Walker, swing for 4, which is a great attack. You're gonna get a lot of damage in.
Yep.
And Waves doesn't really have a good way to clean this board up. I mean, the nature die, the Snapper will go away for sure, one way or another. But going into the next round, the Cap's gonna have. Oh, okay, it's a 3 attack. For some reason, I totally missed that those were not exhausted. Oops. So 7 damage. That's quite a lot, actually.
Yep.
And this is where we might see, that value kind of come back into Cap's favor. Him staying ahead on board.
So you definitely get the Snapper off the board here, but if it's a Wrath.
Wait, what?
No, it's not.
Hold on. Why did he ping the Salamander Spirit? Snapper's exhausted. The tough doesn't count. I think
you know what? I bet. I think he probably missed that tough was turned off with the Snapper there.
Oof, that's rough.
That's really, really rough.
Yeah. And that might be, with the game kind of the needle ever moving closer into the Cap's favor here. He's regaining a lot of that tempo that he lost on that pass turn where he lost the 4 dice. Little mistakes like that are going to cost quite a bit here. Both players have 2 signature cards in the discard pile. I've only seen one played this game.
We know. Oh, nope. We don't know where the third realm walker is. And we don't know where the final chaos gravity is. We do know where the final Phoenix Barrage is, because
Yeah.
here it is.
Do we see
reflection? No! No, it is
still
not.
no Fate Reflection? Wow. That's pretty big.
It's really clutch.
Man, Waves is like getting lucky with being able to like come back on these little value trades here. That's pretty big deal. Lightbringer is pretty good here though. Butterfly Monk will get either a heal or a guard break. Probably a heal.
It's worth noting that both times Waves Phoenix Barrage, he had to spend a 4th die to finish off the Realm Walker because he chose to put the other instance of 2 damage on a Snapper.
Yep.
And if that doesn't tell you right now how valuable that token Snapper is, that's insane, dude. Takes 2 damage to kill that thing. That's crazy.
Yeah. Killer Cactus pointing out that it would have been a lethal without the kill on that Realm Walker because of the Gravity Flux swing. They would have no blockers and swing for 7.
Oh yeah.
So
wow,
that was pretty huge.
So it makes you wonder if Cap is running Fate Reflection at all, because we've got 11 cards still in play for him.
They could all be in the bottom, but or maybe just running like a 1 or 2 of possibly.
Yeah. There's the X-Grow in the discard finally. There's also, we didn't talk about this, but there's massive growth in the discard pile as well. That's pretty cute.
Yeah, that is interesting. Without any evasion, it looks like. So very curious what that's about.
Okay, hear me out. Don't laugh. All right. If Waves gets in another 2 damage somehow, he does no, not anymore. Never mind.
Double Molten.
Yeah, I was gonna say transmute magic could get you to double Molten.
It's true. Okay.
Transmute magic. It's a meta monster.
Gonna see an attack here. Okay, just attacking for 2. That's fine. Get the 2 damage in. Waves doesn't really have great blocks here. I mean, the Butterfly Monk is okay on the Lightbringer. Gets to heal 1, but I think that the Cap just really wants to get Waves down into Sympathy Pain range.
I think you're right.
Or some kind of like tempo swing with a 3rd Realm Walker.
X-Grow could be enormous here.
Yeah, it could be a lot. That's what 4
6 damage.
Yeah, 6 damage plus the Butterfly
7.
Monk. Put him to 1. And then Wave Crash would kill.
That's insane. Well, he wouldn't have the sympathy dice for the Wave Crash. Yeah, he's just gonna cash into here.
Okay.
You know he wanted more than that. That's a shame.
Yeah. X-Grow would have been pretty big. Okay, so pretty close here as far as life total and board, but man, look at the dice disparity yet again.
Darn dice yet again. All game, man.
Yeah. Echo's just been in the lead on resources for most of the game. Like, able to sacrifice 4 dice in a round, leave 4 dice on the table, and still is generating dice advantage. It's pretty crazy. I'm actually survived that Waves is. I'm surprised that Waves has like lived this long against that kind of resource.
You know what, dude? Like I am too. I really think it comes down to that 4 dice getting stranded on the pass, because Waves just made that really clutch.
And Phoenix Barrage. Both Phoenix Barrages have been really big.
Yeah, they have. But he had to spend the extra dice on both, and that combined with missing spark value and with the double book taxes in round one, the little inefficiencies have just caught up here. And like that, and that's Ashes. Like that's just how it goes. And that's why things like Salamander Snapper are so
Org
freaking
presence. Okay, well there's the evasion
what?
For the massive growth. These butterfly monks though are putting in a lot of work. Really giving
They
some
are.
sustain in a matchup where, Echo is many things, is really good at a lot of things, but sustain isn't necessarily one of them. His life pool is what it is. He starts with 19, which is high, but Lulu has the potential to heal quite a lot in this matchup. Gonna
This is a
see
really,
Monk
really, really
Spirit
smart.
attacking Lulu. Okay. Yeah, you might as well get the damage in. Like,
Okay, looking at how Cap has sequenced this round, I wonder if he's got a Gates. All three books are exhausted. He's tapping his monk spirits. Like, if he's
could be.
got a second Gates, that could be really cute here.
Yeah, and like waves just wouldn't have the resources to keep up with that kind of thing either.
No, that would be
It's too
that'd be
many
dead.
cheap efficient units. Two shadows
Oh,
takes out the horsey.
nice.
So to me
Okay.
that says that the Cap is probably aiming for a top of round victory.
Yeah.
If you're bothering to spend resources on taking out the stallion, the exhausted stallion this round, then I'm guessing he wants to get blockers off the board so he can swing wide next round with the gravity flux to get the win. Okay, both players pass. So
That's really good for Waves' dice disparity. Like,
yeah,
really, really good.
unfortunately,
Some of these passes, these are some of the weirdest passes
yeah,
I've seen in a minute. And I'm starting to understand them
unfortunately,
like retroactively.
I think that Waves is just dead here though, because top around is Cat, which means he's got Lightbringer on board. He's gonna get rid of one Butterfly
Yeah,
Monk and then Gravity Flux
and that's
swing.
it.
So I think that might be the nail in the coffin here.
Really,
It shows the
you
power of
really
Lightbringer, especially in a deck that
always.
can, like, you know, Echo with Gravity Flux, or Crescendo, or Void Pulse. Like any of these like tempo, removals or like ways to get rid of blockers are so good with Lightbringer for top around. You don't need a ton of board presence.
No.
You just need enough to get that last swing in. Could be, I saw Matt Bowers earlier today almost pull off like a really huge Hail Mary victory off the back of like, Shadow Guard, Lightbringer, Mass Wolf swing with Immortal Commander type business. Like,
Okay.
but
Um,
okay, gonna see the
seven
attack.
cards, seven cards in play for Lulu. Two of them could be Molten Golds, and the
Mm-hmm.
cap is at 6.
And
So
also treatment pointing out that Sympathy Pain could also win him the game here if he just gets a single Molten Gold off. So just needs
yeah,
one damage.
2 damage.
So this
So I
attack,
see Lulu selected for an attack, but like, I mean,
no gravity
you like
flux.
you Lightbringer here, right?
I would, but maybe the cap knows something I don't. That's very strange.
I don't think I. Oh,
Okay,
stand
crescendo
still. There, that's
or
GG.
stand
Stand still.
still. Stand still
GG.
is, yeah. Okay, cool. Very, very, very strong here.
You never expect the Spanish Inquisition.
Yeah,
There-
yeah. Stand still is a card.
Is that what? Do you think that standstill is what Treatment was referring to when he posted Spain earlier? Like, is that
No,
is
sympathy
that?
pain.
Oh,
Sympathy pain.
yeah, he does have he does have. I'm
I have
sorry,
2 Molten in hand. Yeah, that's pretty rough. And rolled really well for it too.
he did. Okay, I genuinely didn't realize that the Spain thing was meant to be S pain. Like, I'm right now learning that.
Oh,
So
yeah. Yep.
yeah, got it. I'm there.
So yeah, that
What a game!
was
That was a great game.
yeah, it was really interesting. I think there were a lot of like decisions in this game that were questionable for sure. I think waves like if waves had got better value out of those sparks, um I think that it could have made a difference here. I mean, we're talking about like the cap is winning off of a exact lethal swing at the top of round. So
With a bunch of
and
guys
double
that
molten
have
in hand, like so,
life. Yeah.
you know, buying even one turn in a
Yep.
situation like this could have been really big. So that just goes to show like how those little bitty things make such a big difference over the course of a game. Um, yeah,
Really? I thought that I'd seen waves on Lulu before.
yeah. His hand in the last round was not good. Cap says.
Yeah, yeah, we kind of intuited that one. So
Yeah, the standstill is super clutch though in this situation for sure.
yeah, that was really cool. It's such a cool card. Man, really, really interesting stuff. Thanks, chat, by the way, for jumping in here. We appreciate you guys
Yeah,
all tuning in. What's our viewers up to? Are we famous yet?
I don't know. My
Yeah,
tabs are
10.
so
We
messed
got
up. 10 viewers.
awesome.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
That's great. Awesome. We
Um,
appreciate you guys being here.
so are we gonna go over some deck lists for?
Let's do it. Well, first, before we even hit the winter open list, I thought that we could chat just a little bit about what we've been seeing in Phoenix League and what the general hype has been. People have been posting some lists in the chat thread and everything, and man, I think the flavor of the week is salamanders and snappers.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I mean, it's
there's a lot of it
just
going around.
yeah, it's a extremely potent combo, and there's not a whole lot of ways to catch up with it. Trade even, definitely not many ways to trade up. But yeah, it just
No,
allows you to do so much, like an enormous amount of like guard pressure, and these units are resilient threats. Salamander is one of the most annoying units in the game to see as a blocker across the board, especially combined with like unit guard, because then you might have a key unit that you want to say you have an attack you want to make for damage, like you're gonna get blocked by the salamander. If you have an attack you want to make for like a board trade, you're gonna get unit guarded, and you just have no good attacks. So you're just like, well, um,
yeah.
happened to
Skak
me earlier
said it.
today.
Skak said in the Discord earlier today um, that he's been on the salamander as crazy train for a really, really long time. He's like, you guys are finally catching up. So
Yep,
and it's true, like salamanders are really, really good. So I just stuck 3 decks in your inbox that people have posted that they're playing. And so
my
if you want,
inbox.
before we, yeah, they're in your Discord DMs. Just
Oh,
kind of scanning back through the
um,
Phoenix League talk.
if I do that, your camera goes away because of the way I have OBS set up.
Nobody wants to look at me anyway. That's fine.
Okay, hang on just a second. Let me open these real quick, and then I'll bring you back.
Got it. There's a
Uh,
lot of really, really cool stuff.
there we go.
Man, that was a good match. That was really fun to watch.
I apologize if anyone saw anything weird in Discord while I was doing that. Okay, guys, let me get this window set up here. I'm gonna make us a little bit smaller.
So I think you might recognize this list.
The Herald one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do recognize it. Yeah, so this was Matt's list, I believe, that he destroyed me with. Yep. And yeah, this was a crazy game, and I do have it recorded. I might, uh, upload it at some point for people to watch. But it was such a crazy game because I was on Soraya with this exact dice spread, and he was
Wait,
on
like dice for dice?
die for die, the exact dice spread. And we
That's all.
started off like the first like 3 turns of the game, or maybe 4 or 5 turns of the game, were the exact same. Like salamander, snapper, using a salamander, essence druid, and so on. Like it was exactly the same. Um, it was a really
Well, and like you guys are both on the same dice spread, and then because this community is so dumb, like I vividly remember in the team tournament when I loaded in and it was a Xander mirror because Cactus was like, "Hey, I'm playing German. It's time to break out. Time to break out Xander." And like the fact that Matt played Harold and you were playing Saria is so like
yeah.
it's like the
Yeah,
Spider-Man
it
meme.
is crazy that we basically like we swapped mains almost. I don't know if he mains Saria, but he plays a lot of Saria.
He
We
does.
swapped PBs and kept dice spread and played the exact same deck. I just I don't understand like that. It
So
was so
how did he
silly.
whoop you?
So March Prey is just really really good. Like
Word.
people, I don't know how Harold doesn't end up in people's top 3 consistently. I just don't get it. Harold is stupid. He's so stupidly good. Mark Prey invalidates so much of like the interplay between players. It just makes you non-interactive in much the same way that Brennan does with Burn, Harold does on board, controlling board and stuff. And uh it's just really really solid, and it was difficult to protect basically anything with salamanders pressuring guards and Seafoam snappers threatening kills on literally anything with Mark Prey. He also is just, having played a lot of Soraya, Matt's just really, really good at playing around Raven. And Raven typically, I mean, could be really, really good into this meta because of all the snapper. You get around the token, right? So you can kill the snapper and get a swing on something and maybe leave a unit behind to, threaten later and they have to deal with it. But I just wasn't able to get snapper value for most of the game. I had a fantastic round 1, but like, yeah, he more than made up for it throughout the course of the game, and it was, yeah, thorough. He thoroughly ran me over. Real quick before we go ahead with the rest of this, the treatment said, "Imagine if instead of speaking ill of Sally for a year, Skak spent that time developing likes and comments."
It's a
It's a good
great point.
good
It's a
point.
great point.
People don't talk about that enough.
No, they
Um,
sure don't. Certainly not me.
yeah, no one talks about, in the same way that no one talks about how good Harold is. No one talks
Right.
about likes and comments and how
No.
we need them really bad.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
Um,
Certainly not me.
but yeah, this
And
list
every
is really cool, and I I play a lot of Harold, but like I play the same deck a lot, and seeing like I think Harold is just one of the most versatile PBs out there.
he
Think about
can be.
how many variations like Inquisitor has made, and none of them were like mine at all, and none of them were like really like this at all. So like
Mm-mm.
it's crazy.
During that Shuffle Bus 4, Brian had a 5 sympathy herald that was, recurring salamander books and using River Scald. And so, there really are a lot of ways to take him. It's 2 side actions, so it's a little cute, but Marked Prey Enchanted Violinist is fun
Yeah,
too. Like especially with the Ruin
I mean,
Dwellers and stuff about.
right. Mark Prey with Light Swordsman is unbelievable. And yeah, it's like it's essentially three side actions because you have to med up to the power, Mark Prey early,
Mar.
and then do it. But like
Right.
I had a lot of games with that where that was like really big value for one die.
Yeah.
One
A lot
die.
of really, really cool stuff in here that I think we're going to be seeing in more decks than just this. First of all, 3x Sympathy Pain. I think that speed, that last game went into round 4, and I think
Mm-hmm.
was a pretty normal game of Ashes. There wasn't a too terrible much amount of burn going on or whatever, but the capacity to go fast and get damage up quickly is important for most decks nowadays. And so I think things like 3x Sympathy Pain, like whatever burn is available in your colors, it's typically good to have that reach. That's always been true, but I think it's even more true now. And so the 3x Sympathy Pain stands out to me. Ocean's Gift is one of the best alterations in the game. I think that's why you're seeing it in so many different places. There's so much value going on in there, like just so much value. Now, as far as gifting the token, there's Flash Strike, but like, did you see him use an Ocean's Gift at any point or anything like that?
I think once, and it may have tokened up a snapper.
A snapper.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Um.
and honestly, like just even if it's functionally just dice fixing and +1 attack in color, like that's fine,
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It is good. I mean, uh, Matt loves two things a lot. I see in his lists. He loves dice fixing, and he loves combat tricks. And uh, yeah, I think that it both works out for him quite a lot. I mean, that game that I played with Soraya, like my win con was like I had to rely on mill because I couldn't do anything about that board. I really needed to buy time and try to mill him out. And Ocean's Gift gave a lot of resiliency against mill. It
yeah,
does matter
um,
sometimes, even
it
against like
does.
non-mill matchups. It can matter if the game goes longer. But okay, you want to move on to
You had
something else here?
you had Raven. Did you
Yeah, I had
also
Raven.
have 3 copies of Seeds of Aggression?
Yes,
So good
absolutely.
with Raven.
Actually,
Yeah.
I'll show you my list real quick.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah. Pull it up.
so I did adjust. So this is not the exact list I played. After today's game against Brian, I did get rid of Amplify and put in Nature's Wrath instead and put a frog
Okay.
in place of one of the time dice. So it was the same dice spread, and I have updated it since. But this is the idea. Um, again, Salamander Snapper, just super good in general. Raven, pretty good answer to some of the stuff that's going on in the meta right now, and it's just a great unit in general. Um, Beast Tamer is incredible against a lot what's going on. In fact, Beast Tamer in my game today against Brian was part of the reason that I didn't get blown out entirely by what he was
Yeah, dude.
doing. Like it sits there and it's like, okay, all these salamanders, they don't do anything. They do nothing. You attack, and unless you're attacking something like a unit directly, like if you're attacking face or whatever, Beast Tamer's just gonna like make it 0, not counter, and
All right.
you get clogged. So
You're
very
right.
good.
I love Beast Tamer, man. I
Yeah.
love my I have the alt art one
Hmm.
that's like after Odette from the Team Covenant League, and it's definitely my favorite. I love the alt art Aerodel, but I think that Beast Tamer is my favorite thing that I've gotten from them
Yeah,
so far. It's really really cool.
it
So
is.
okay, talk to me about 3 copies of Summon Three Eyed Owl.
So yeah, I really wanted to. I don't know why I do this to myself, but I wanted to like push back against like some of the talk I had seen from people that like since the three-eyed owl chain, like owl's not good anymore. And there was a little bit of conversation in the Discord about like, well, most of the chain cards are still good. Like Massive Growth and Widows, and these are still good cards. They still see play. The only one that typically doesn't see very much play is Three-Eyed Owl. And I was just thinking, like, um, if you're playing, I've seen Three-Eyed Owl used where it's a 3-book thing and you just draw into it. And if you can get to the late game in good shape, like when you start getting like 2 Three-Eyed Owl books down, it can be so oppressive. Like later in the game, um, like that mill matters a lot, and losing options in hand matters a lot because you're fishing for like you need like a potent combination of allies and burn to like finish people off, and like if you're just discarding half of that and then discarding more from like you know violinist and hearts pull. I don't know. And at the end of the day too, it is a 0/2 unit, so it's a resilient body, it's a good blocker. um if you summon Three-Eyed Owl and they snapper into it, like, okay, you keep your snapper, that's fine, but I'm playing a late game deck and I want to get to the late game. So I don't know, I just thought like if there was a good place to put Three-Eyed Owl as like a, I don't know, think of it like almost like Frostbite is for some decks. How a 3x Frostbite is sort of like your late game insurance, to like make sure that you have like a way to close out. Um, that's kind of how I thought about it here too. It's like this is a good closing tool. But
Really
so
good
far,
analogy, actually. Like Frostbite is that kind of like 3x book insurance for the burn win con, and like really Owl can be that for the mill win con. Like
right.
that's really sharp.
But Clue brings up a good point, and this is sort of the pain point I've been running into with Soraya. Like Soraya is really, really good, but you have to have some way
That's clear.
of dealing with your battlefield. Like 5 is just
Yeah.
not enough. Um,
Yep.
so I think I could see playing a list like this potentially in like Xander or another high life Phoenixborn that has a bigger battlefield. The spell board sucks though. I mean, there's really just no. I mean, maybe, yeah, there's no good combination. Soraya is the good combination. It's 5 spell board or 4 spell board, 5 battlefield, 20 life. It's just hard. It's a.
Yeah.
Carl says, I
Carl's
can't
saying, yeah,
imagine having it over Dove. Dove is literally the mill Frostbite, but mill's a random card rather than a card of choice.
that's sharp.
It's a good point. Um, I do think Dove. Yeah, I don't know because the hand
I mean,
pressure.
if you're racing damage,
Mhm.
um, Carl's got a point here. Like Dove is really sharp. It's not chained, so you can get it started early. But there
Yeah.
are a couple things about Owl that are worth noting. The first is that like if you fire off a couple of Owls, then you know that your opponent has kind of limited things that they can do on that round because you're taking things out of their hand, right?
Hmm.
And so that's relevant. And then also, if you're not dealing with like bypass stuff like Bear, like that 2 life can be a big deal. Like
Hmm.
Owl's harder to kill, it's harder to ping off. So those are definitely some points in its favor. I
I
do think, especially the focus effect on Dove is it can be a really really big
right.
deal. We've seen Monk use that all the time, so it's definitely Dove's great too. But
Yeah.
I think there are some virtues to using Three-Eyed Owl, and also it's chained and you want to prove a point, so why not?
Right. Yeah. I'm kind of like playing with you know offbeat stuff just for fun, but um yeah, Dove's probably a better mill right now because Filk's coming around on the card draw being viable. That's true. The other big thing too, yeah, that's another really good point with Three-Eyed Owl, that it may have been true that Three-Eyed Owl 3-book, could put in some work in like different like earlier metas, but right now, like Wishing Wing is everywhere. Um People are playing lots of books, like even like not even dollar store, just people are throwing in 3 books of stuff because like I think they're realizing that like just the flexibility it gives you round over round with how to allocate your resources and always having some like relevant like really high efficiency cheap units available is big. And so like Three-Eyed Owl doesn't put in as much work when your opponent has, 5 books or something. So it could be that like I was just a little bit late on bringing this concept in, and that like right now it may not be the best.
My
It's
only Ashcon loss so far was to Anthony Stellato, STLLTO in the
mhm,
Discord.
yeah.
And the game was going on and I was accounting for spread and like trying to keep my options open. And then towards the end of the round, this guy puts down a second Cloudburst Griffin book.
Yeah,
I wasn't prepared for that. It
yeah,
was like it was the thing that I just did not have an answer for, and he was able to use that quick strike to just clean up my crap, and he ended up winning a pretty close game. And that was kind of a watershed moment for me where I realized like, hey, just getting some extra books in there is definitely got a lot more viability than some people give it credit for.
yeah,
Even with a unit, and you wouldn't think to put 3 Griffin books in something necessarily because it's got a conjuration limit of 2. You can't even summon all 3 in a single round, but it gives you opportunities to flex your summons and get more on the board if they get ice trapped or something like that. There's play to it. Carl's saying there's a big difference between Al and the other chain cards. The other chain cards are rare FF cards outside degenerate stuff. They're just doing their own thing, and that's totally true.
yeah,
I think there's Al got hit really, really hard. I think it's
yeah.
one of
I
the
mean,
chain cards that
no
suffered the most.
doubt about it. Like Al would be 100% better if you could first five it. Like it would be so much better. And it
Yep.
would probably still see some play. Um, I don't know if it would be like I don't know if it would be like a menace to like any of the really really good decks out there right now. Maybe I mean Gatestone Open kind of gets hurt by it pretty hard. Um,
Yeah.
but
All right, let's talk about
anyway,
this next list, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
This is
Um,
Charlotte's list, right?
yeah.
Yeah, this Echo. This was
Yeah.
like she got some coaching from Matt Bowers and built
Yeah, I know.
this. And
Yeah.
I mean you can tell because it has crystal armor in it. Um, yeah. Are you watching the game right now?
I'm so sorry. Yes, Dallas is up, but man, there's another like injury where people seem really, really worried. I don't know if you know this, but
Oops, I didn't mean to start Steam.
last week or a couple weeks ago in the NFL, a guy went into cardiac arrest on the field, and it
Oh,
was really, really
jeez.
scary. It was probably the scariest thing I've ever seen in an NFL game ever. And I've never seen this happen. The league actually just canceled the game, like they didn't make the players go back out, and then they decided the
Whoa.
next day that they were just not going to replay the game, and they had to make a bunch of like ad hoc rules for the playoff scenario to make sure that it was fair, because the game had really significant playoff implications, and they just had to get rid of it. And now it's a very similar situation on the field right now. I didn't see the hit or anything, but there's a guy down on the field and a bunch of medical personnel. So I'm sorry, I'm distracted. I really shouldn't have scheduled this stream on the night of a Cowboys playoff game. So I apologize for all the neck craning that I've done tonight.
Yeah, it's
Let's
all right.
instead talk about how much my butt got kicked by Charlotte's Echo list here.
Okay, so you were the one on the receiving end.
Yeah, dude, it was really bad. It's really bad. Like I just got my rear end handed to me by this thing. The first 5 is really, really cool. Um, it starts those 3, it starts Lightbringer and Sally,
Okay.
and then it uses Essence Druid to get Sally back and get another one out,
Yep.
uh, and then the Sonic Swordsman. And so you've just got tons of unit value. And then the real kicker, I got my title shift Golden Veiled, which
Oof.
not only was that a 2 dice for 1 trade, but it also prevented my book from getting unexhausted and stranded another dice. I had to find another use for that extra Lightbringer die that I had accounted for, and so
Yeah.
and I should have accounted that. Like, I mean, you posted a video this week called Golden Veil as a card, and like, dude,
Yeah. It is.
Golden Veil.
It is. I would say if you're going for like a knight heavy strategy, that it's almost in like first 5, it's almost essential. Like
Yeah.
it just is so good.
I tried for a long time to make knight builds work without slotting Golden Veil, and like, you just can't leave yourself open to getting traded up to in Ashes like that when you have something like Golden Veil available. And really, like, Fate Reflection is good, and it does a lot of things, but it's not Golden Veil. Like,
No,
it
it's
doesn't.
not.
You can't just like be in time and slot Fate Reflection and consider it the same thing. Like, when you
Mhm.
consider the implications that Golden Veil has towards cards like uh, Phoenix Barrage and Tidal Shift, like,
And
it's
tsunami shot and earthquake and
yeah, dude.
like I mean earthquake kinda fate reflection, but like
Yeah,
still like
Fate
the
Reflection's really bad for Earthquake for sure. But
but
yeah, like, Golden Veil's it's a tier up from Fate Reflection, I think. It's so flipping good, and it's so
yeah.
demoralizing when it catches you off. And so I just was not able that, and I also like waltzed my title crab into a Lightbringer. In my defense, I had a really rough day. It was. I'm telling you, it was like the worst beat that I had in forever. The only thing that kind of kept me in the game is I got a very, very clutch Survival of the Fittest draw that let me kind of catch
Ooh,
up on
nice.
that double night value. But
Survival's
you know,
fun.
it's kind of like it is. It's a great card when it's a great card. Like, sometimes it
Oh
just
yeah.
does the thing. But it
Yeah.
was that thing that we just saw in that Waves and Cap game where I was just that board advantage from round 1 carried over throughout the whole game, and I was down dice the whole time because, like, yeah,
Mhm.
I got to kill 2 knights with the Survival of the Fittest. Whoop-de-doo. Now I have 7 dice to Charlotte's 10, and we still have the whole rest of the round to play. So, those are the things that just add up over the course of the game.
Yeah.
And Charlotte very rapidly became a really good builder and a really good pilot. And then Matt is turning her into a terrorist. So
Yeah.
it's great. I love
I
it.
really this build is really cool. Like I think Mirror Spirit is like super underrated. It's really good. I mean, maybe it's rated now. I think it's probably rated at this point.
I think it's probably rated.
But like,
Dude, shout out to Carl. I think that Mirror Spirit is a big reason that he won Builder of the Year. He did some
oh
great
yeah,
work with that.
it's a nasty. It's really good. But like, yeah, I mean, it's frequently a 3/2 class basic. Like what else what do you want? And then the focus and everything, like it's so good. But yeah, I really like this setup here. It's like really it's a nice kind of potent mix between like having a lot of reactive tools and like good defense mixed with some like tempo stuff and good offense. Like it's kind of got everything, right? You got Lightbringer for your controlling your opponent pacing and like where they use their attacks. Salamander we know is good, and abusing it with Essence Shroud is obviously very good. Some good defensive knights, and then Sonic can also go on the swing. Crystal Armor is just a fantastic card,
I love
just
that
in
card.
general.
I think
Um,
Matt and Carl have both said that Crystal Armor is their favorite card in Ashes.
it's
Um,
yeah,
it's
it's
so fun.
amazing. It's good on offense. It's good on defense. It's like unexpected combat trick. It can really create like very disgusting like turns of events. um and yeah, I mean sympathy pain 3 of like every deck needs.
Yep. Speaking of
There's a lot of
combat
good stuff
tricks,
here.
what I learned this week?
Hmm.
I learned this week that disengage was ally only.
Yeah, I did too. I did too.
I was reading
Twice
about that.
twice in 2 minutes I learned it because I was like, oh, but what if you do what card was it? I can't remember. I don't remember what it was. I was like, oh, what about this one? And I was like, that's Conjuration too. I'm like, dang it. I think it was Empyrean Mount. That's what it was. I was like, but it's got an ally
Yeah.
underneath it, right? That counts.
Yeah. So when we played almost. You almost got him.
Almost.
No, when I played Legend of the Five Rings with you, I played Unicorn Clan, and they were all about like combat tricks and like dipping in and out of fights and stuff. And so when I saw Disengage, I got really excited because I was like, this is a unicorn card. Like you're in the fight and then you're out and you kind of exhaust them, but get to keep your unit for fight another day. I
Yeah.
was really, really excited about Disengage, and I really thought that it was going to be uh, I'm not going to say played widely. I will say that I thought it was going to be played occasionally, and I
Yep.
was wrong.
And just like
And
Unicorn at the beginning of L5R, it was not good.
it was not meant to be. No, it was not. And like, I think part of the reason that I was like, I wonder why nobody's playing Disengage is because I didn't freaking read the card, and I
Right.
didn't realize it was ally only. Like, you can't play that garbage when it's ally. Come on, what are you doing?
Yep.
So, all right, Killer Cactus, Fiona from the car.
Yep.
He made a cactus or Casey in the car episode. My man Clue, Spyglass is the best attachment, and Unicorn is the best clan. I give you a hearty nay and a good evening to user. Yeah, so there was an entire Casey in the car episode about this Fiona shell, and I was like, man, that's really, really cool. And then this mad lad brought it to Phoenix League, and I don't know if Killer's in the chat, but I know that he. No, excuse me. I was just gonna say he just beat Matt, but it was in the Winter Open, not in Phoenix League. So I don't think that he beat Matt with this list. But I would not be surprised if this list had a lot of play. I think it's probably the best looking Fiona and the best like justification for Fiona that I've ever seen. Like this is really, really cool.
So what's the? I'm trying to like. I missed the Casey in the car for this one. What exactly is happening here? Like, what is this deck?
You're using Huntmaster.
Yep.
You're canyon sheltering the Huntmaster. You're Fiona-ing to unexhaust the canyon shelter and Huntmaster again.
Okay, so double Huntmaster round 1
Yep.
for
Along
8 dice, right?
No.
Because canyon shelter is a die to put in and a die to bring back out.
Yeah, so 5 for 5 dice.
Oh, right, because it's a refresh thing. Not. I'm sorry.
Yeah, 5 dice.
I don't know why.
Yep.
Okay, so 5 dice there, and then. Yeah, I mean, okay, yeah, seems pretty good. That seems pretty solid.
Canyon shelter, man.
Yeah, interesting.
And any just the ability to get something in the shelter and get it out in one round always for the cost of a card, like that's pretty good. And it's like it's one of those things where now that I've thought about it, I'm like, nobody tried this. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
Fiona Canyon Shelter, like, I heard.
Oh, and it gets a status token too.
Yeah.
What? I've never read this card. Apparently. Wow, when did this come out? Is this new?
Yeah. Anyway, no, there's a whole Casey in the car episode about this thing.
Okay.
And it seems really
check it out.
This is like my favorite dice spread too. These are all my favorite colors.
Yeah,
so
I really enjoy playing this nature time sympathy stuff.
I know. I have like a 30 games with Fiona on Ashteki and like a 30% win rate. So this is like there was a hot minute there where I was really trying to make Fiona work. And it was kind of a low point for me. I was going through some stuff. So
yeah,
it's good to see a great player like Killer really bringing it in. And so I you look at these lists and there's a lot of good cards and everything. And one thing that like when I look at all of the lists that we've looked at tonight, yours and Matt's and Charlotte's and Cactus's, is like I think we've done something special with this Phoenix League where people are like, the games are clearly high quality. We saw a great game tonight. We've had people in the chat saying that they're just having a lot of fun and getting really, really
Mm-hmm.
tight competitive matches out of Phoenix League. But there's this like reduced pressure, and you can change up your list every week, and you can really try something. And one thing that I love is like when I'm testing a deck concept or something occurs to me and I jump on Ash Techie, it's always fun because Ashes is fun.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I'm really stress testing the deck. And sometimes the data that you get from those test games and just random Ash Techie matches, it doesn't necessarily tell you a whole lot about your own deck. I think Phoenix League gives you an opportunity to bring your deck into an environment where you know that the person sitting across from you is going to be putting up a fight. And there's so much value to that when you're trying to
Mm-hmm.
test a concept like Fiona from the car or
Yeah.
whatever. As it's like, okay, everybody's trying to win. We're
Yeah.
looking
There
forward
are
to collecting
stakes. You
matches.
know, they're not.
Yeah, there's stakes.
I don't know if they're the highest stakes, but there are stakes. You know, like and
Sure.
uh, yeah, I agree. I think I've been having a lot of fun with both my games so far in the 2 weeks since we started. I love that like that Soraya list. You know, putting the Nature's Wrath in there. That's just something like if I had brought that list to a tournament, and I played against Brian in round two, and I'm 0-2 with this list that I believed in quite a bit, but I'm 0-2 with it. And it's just like I didn't get enough testing in. And Brian's like, Nature's Wrath would be really good here. I get to put it in my list and just keep playing, which is
And just
great.
go next week. Yeah, it's really
And like
cool.
you could always do that with casual and stuff, but it is different. I think it is different to have the stakes, to have the competitive spirit going on, and like know that your opponent's bringing their A game and that they want to try and I think Phoenix League is going to be sort of the breeding ground for good lists going forward this year, which is really cool.
And I love that there's stakes attached to it, and so we get to kind of have it always going on in the background. It is a little bit lower stakes, but I think that that's a good thing because I think that you know we have this competitive testing ground going on,
Mhm.
and I'm so pumped
There's
to
a
see
lot of
what happens.
cool stuff happening. Like
There
people
is, and I'm
people are
so
bringing
pumped to
cool
see
stuff.
the end result. The end
Um,
result, in a way, is going to be like pod tournament. Like when we hit that in March, and people are like, "Okay, I've been messing around with this in Phoenix League. I've been messing around with this in Phoenix League, but this is my
yeah,
pod tournament deck," and I'm
right.
really excited to see that. And that kind of
I have
leads
a
us right into
feeling.
our. Go
Oh,
ahead.
I was gonna say I have a feeling we'll see some of these lists make a comeback, but like tweaked in for a pod
Yeah,
tournament because like they'll be like I've got a bunch of reps with this. I've been testing it, and I see what other people are doing throughout the season. Um, and like I know kind of where people are at with where the competitive play space. This might be a way that we can get like stronger meta pulse happening in Ashes because when it was just shuffle bus tournaments happening, um, no one's tweaking their decks in between, you know, games in the shuffle bus. They're stuck with that one. And when shuffle bus is happening, a lot of people aren't putting a ton of time into playing competitive matches because they're, it's a lot, you know. It's just a lot of stress and it's a lot of ashes and like you don't really necessarily want to, you know, play more and test hardcore for a deck you can't even adjust. It just kind of takes up all your capacity in a lot of ways for most people, especially for me.
it was
But
exhausting
like
for me.
Phoenix League is
Yeah,
like, week after week you get competitive lists, and I feel like there's a sense that we're gearing up for one of these tournaments, and I love that. I think it's really cool, and so we might see
I
some of
wasn't
these
really
lists
like
come
expecting
back.
that. I
Yeah.
wasn't expecting that to be the vibe, but it kind of feels like that. It feels like we're in this like competitive low stakes testing ground for the rest of the year right now where everybody's like throwing stuff against the wall to see what sticks. And Shovel Bust did so much right. And those tournaments are some of my favorite card game events that I've ever gotten to participate in. But what I love about this is it really feels like for the moment, we're going to have to monitor it throughout the year. And of course, we're willing to make changes if that's something that we need to do. But like for the moment, it really feels like we've tapped in to something with our community that everybody's really appreciating, and I feel like we're kind of meeting players where they are, and it seems like Phoenix League is serving a need, and so I'm really really pumped about that. So
Well, with
as
that,
as we were saying, like, yeah, let's go into Winter Open because I
sorry,
want to spend
hang on.
a few minutes here. We don't want to be
My
we don't want to be
tabs,
here all night.
sorry, my Firefox tabs are right next to Steam, and that's the second time I've opened Steam this stream. Okay, so let me make
Person in the middle
sure people
of
can see
that,
everything
sellers.
here. Yeah, okay. I just gotta keep it at the top of the screen. Okay, so right now there is a tournament happening. It's an open list, kind of in the vein of Shuffle Bus, what we've seen before, that Waves is hosting. And these are the lists for that tournament. So these are open lists. Everyone knows what is being brought to the table, and they were shared earlier, this week, or I think, or last week, I mean. So yeah, we're just gonna take a look at some of these and just like talk about what this looks like, what this little tournament meta is like.
Before we
Um,
go in, there's just a couple things that I want to make of note. Is that I think that it's so great that we have this event happening, because as cool as the like testing ground environment of Phoenix League and stuff was, like I remember when we announced Phoenix League, Tuxedo was one of the first players who was like, hey, I totally appreciate the stress and everything of open lists in the first 5 games and things like that, and not everybody wants to be doing that all the time, but like I really love that, and I want to make sure that there's an environment for that. And so just a huge shout out to Waves
yeah,
for getting this together and getting it done fast, to make sure the community knows that like open list ashes, if that's your thing, is not going anywhere.
yeah,
And there's so much fun to be had in like making your first 5 choices against a known list, and there's so much fun to be had in getting to look at a collection of open lists like this and just talk about what we're seeing in the meta. Like I definitely was going to miss that about the shuffle bus tournaments, and instead of having to miss it, like Waves has just come in right out of the gate with this Winter Open, and that's why we were so excited to partner with it and make sure that we were issuing invites to the finalists here. So
yeah,
I'm really excited to do a little brief overview. This will be, I think, our last thing that we're
yep,
doing tonight. We're going to do a brief overview of these lists, and then we'll get out of here. This is such a cool collection of lists, and we're going to go over each of them individually for a minute or two. But just out of the gate, uh,
yeah,
Salamander Snapper,
yeah.
like
I mean,
holy crap!
we're gonna see a lot of this. I think until I don't think this is just like one of those things where, like in previous Ashes metas, where it's like a
It's
lightning
here
in a
to
bottle
stay.
thing that happens and then just kind of disappears because it gets popular or strong and people don't want to play it anymore. Like
Yeah,
I don't. Maybe this is hubris or something, but I just don't foresee that happening with Phoenix League moving forward. I think the kind of consistent competitive testing grounds happening in the league, and then these kind of like you know periods to the end of those sentences at the end of each season where we're having these pod tournaments. I'm thinking my guess is that we'll see a more consistent meta shape up, and like people will keep playing the good stuff. And I think Salamander Snapper is going to be something that we see a lot of until
yeah, that's what I was saying.
basically
I
until a
really
counter
that's
is
what I was
printed
saying.
or until someone comes up
Right.
with some fancy tech for it. So expect
It's
this
just
everywhere.
so much value, dude. Like,
Yeah, we've talked a lot about that tonight. We don't have to go over it too much more. But Ruin
we'll
Dweller
attack
is
it
pretty cool
too.
here.
Like,
This looks like it's pretty defensive. It
this is
is,
classic Asterisk.
yeah,
Asterisk loves Final Cry. He loves Blood Archer.
hmm,
He was the other Brennan finalist against JK007
yeah,
in his first Shovel Bus win. And he was running Brennan, but it was very different. Very, very different. And so this is, Asterix is kind of like the guy for like really off kilter burn stuff.
Yeah.
And lately he's been running it in Odette. He's doing it in 5 colors, probably because he needs Golden Veil and he knows it. Because the
Hmm.
Asterisk might be
Only
smarter
one
than
though.
me.
Only one Golden
Yeah, he's
Veil.
only running one, and he's
And
using the others for,
and you
I guess,
can't,
sympathy, pain, and
to
generosity.
me, yeah, to me the one of Golden Veil tells me, this is actually really interesting. We need to talk about this. Like Golden Veil, Blood Archer, 3 kneel. 3 kneel. So, you know, you're getting one use out of this charm die every round, and like it has
Yeah,
to, but it's these big cards, big plays, right?
big cards.
Blood
Yep.
Archer with potentially with Sword of Virtue. Like if you can keep it alive, which again, I don't know how you do that without the Golden Veil necessarily, but if you
Well,
can,
he has a fate reflection too.
yeah, it is, yeah. But you can.
So that's
Fate Reflection doesn't really help with Blood Archer though, because you're hurting it yourself.
right.
But
But
there's
if you get it down twice and then you're really vulnerable to a ping, and then you have
right.
that little 1 round protection where you can go ahead and swing him in. Yeah.
I'm not sure, given the knights that he has available and how few Golden Veils are. I don't think that Sword is here for refreshes. I'm thinking that this is, a lot of removal, a lot of ways to just shut down a board, and with Crypt Guardian round over round, and then you've just got a ton of burn. This is like a classic kind of control list where you're playing for attrition, and it's pretty cool.
Yep. 1 cheeky meteor, 3 crypt guardian, ruin dweller.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean this kind of shell is something that Asterix is really good at. Net decking is not a sin, and I wish
Oh,
the best of luck to Mr. Brankus
re-
with this Burn and Burn list.
real quick, Carl said that the Golden Veil is probably a flex against Tristan, Jessa, and Odette, which is yeah, that's
Yep,
good.
good call.
My mind is still in closed lists from Phoenix League, so like I'm forgetting like, oh yeah, open list. Like one ofs are a thing here, like
Yep.
okay, so yeah, Brankus new, right?
Yeah, pretty new, pretty new. I've
Yeah.
seen him around a little bit. But
This is
he
yeah,
heads into his first open list tournament with something tried and tested that is always smart.
which is I mean,
We say to new players all the time, it's just really good to know if you lost, like to not have to wonder too hard, like, was it my deck build or was it me? Like piloting, and it's like, okay, if you bring JK 007's Burn and Burn and you lost, it was you.
this is
Like,
something I think this is notable because this is something you see happen in other card games all the time. Someone gets in, they buy in, like, what do I need to build the best meta deck right now? Because I want to play and I want to get a sense of like what competitive play looks like. I want to play in my local store champs. What's good? And you ask your local players, like, what's good? Well, these 3 meta decks are king. Like, which one's the cheapest to make? Like in a CCG, that's usually where it goes.
right.
And then you see a new player hop in, learn the game a little bit, and then jump into an event with the best deck, right? You don't see that in Ashes like very often at all. People tend to be a little bit more shy to jump into competitive in general right away, and they're also more likely to want to build their own lists or do something unique and expressive. This is the kind of thing that I think Jesse and Neil would have loved to seen. Like, oh, there's a new player who's never played in a tournament before, taking JK's burn and just diving in, right? That's like, it's so rare that this happens, and I think it's really cool.
Yeah, best of luck. There's so many. The thing that really separates JK 007's game is how good he is at first fiving and just
Hmm.
matching his opening round to his opponent. And so, Brankus, if you're listening or if you watch this back, I would suggest that you go back and watch some of the ways that
Yeah,
JK piloted his deck, some of those
absolutely. Do
VODs,
some
those
research,
YouTube,
especially that
because
this. I mean,
he can sing.
I don't know if it's this way for you guys, but like when I look at this list, I'm so intimidated by like what do I do with it? It is a surgical tool that I have no idea how to wield. I am not proficient. Like I just like what
I don't know.
how do you pilot this? So like
Yeah,
good luck,
JK knows.
Brackus.
Yeah, good
Yeah.
luck, man. All right, down to Brian. Brian is back on Hope.
Yeah.
And
Hope
he, man,
every book in the game apparently. I don't know.
everybody, these first 5 flexes are getting a little excessive,
He's
wouldn't you
got
say,
Foggy
Brian?
Bear, Salamander Snapper, and False Demon.
What do you do with this?
That is so interesting.
He's just having fun. Hope plays Koloff. That's a clever name.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess what you look at is like, what's he running multiple of? Void Pulse, obviously. It's the
Yeah.
only 3x in the deck. He's got multiple Ice Traps, multiple Fate Reflection, multiple Sympathy Paints. I think that's
Yeah. And
definitely a reflection.
gates. 2 gates.
Oh, looky
Very
there. I
interesting.
didn't notice that first. Yep. And then most everything else is a 1x except for like Huntmaster and stuff. So he's really in board games you talk about like strategy versus tactics.
Yeah.
Like you're like long term executing planning versus like doing the best with what you're given in a given moment. This is a tactics deck. Brian has no idea what he's going to be drawing, but he doesn't have a bad card in the deck. And some of this stuff, like String Mage and Sunshield Sentry, are really tech pieces. And so I think that this kind of deck construction is obviously going to be a little bit less consistent. And he's going to have to try to make up for that with his play. But when you look at what he's got in the deck, I don't know that you could say he has a bad matchup. Like he's kind of prepared for everything, and I think there's a lot of virtue for that in open list play. I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure
that's the
that's
one thing I was gonna say. Like, if you look at this list, how do you first five against it? Like, seriously, like what? How do you do that? What do you do?
yeah,
Because like, but I will say one thing that is really interesting about this being in Hope in particular is like, if you do go for the Foggy Bear, um, opening, you don't have a ton of like great consistent duplicate targets available to you.
that's true.
I mean, potentially, I mean, you might go Butterfly Monk in that. What's the dice spread? Yeah, you might go Butterfly
Great
Monk in that
nature.
opening. You might go, it might be a Raptor Herder, and you just duplicate the Hatchling. It could just be Salamander. I mean, Salamander duplicated is fine. It's really good.
Yeah,
But like,
a little better.
it is a distinct sort of like moving away from like maximizing hope to do that. Um, So, but it does do everything, as Clue points out in chat. Like
Yeah, it does everything.
it's got value, it's got bypass, it's got burn, it's got reach, it's got
Yeah.
resilient units, it's got hope. So
And most crucially, it's got Brian.
and it's got Brian. Yep. Yeah, it's
Best
good.
thing it can have. Moving
Hey
right
Clue,
along.
this is
Speaking
your
of Clue,
list.
this is your list. I lost to a Realm of the Absurd deck in the finals of the last Shuffle Bus Pod tournament. It was not a particularly close game because this thing is weird and it's really hard to prep for, and it's just got so much play. I prepared trying my best to do Realm Walker hunting weapons and like try to counter that, and that was already going to be hard.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I guessed wrong and his first 5 wasn't the Realm Walker hunting weapons, I was pretty much on my back foot from that point forward. And so I think that in closed lists, it's kind of its own beast. But in open lists, I think you get some of the same benefits that you get with the Brian thing, where it's just this seems particularly hard to first 5 against
Right.
for me. And on top of that, he switched when he played it against me. It was Odette. He was using that for some refresh and stuff like that. Here, he's swapped over to Jessa, which is cool because it gives him a built-in win con. This Realm of the Absurd shell, kind of by necessity, ends up way spread out with the colors. And
Mm-hmm.
so when you're in, what is this, 6 colors, having the ability to just convert basic dice into direct damage in a pinch has got to be good. Plus fear.
Yeah.
So
It's
it's
interesting.
Realm of the Absurd. It's great.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like you look at it and you're like, this isn't hyper optimized. I can beat this. And then Clue is just like got it so flippin' dialed in. And also like it's 10 reaction spells,
Yeah,
all of which are
a
good.
lot of reactions. Yeah, that's really interesting. It's really cool.
It's really
We already
cool.
talked
You should go
about.
back and watch that VOD if you want to see it in action. It's really, really
Oh,
great.
okay. Yeah. We already talked about Charlotte's List earlier, so we'll skip over that because she's
I hate this
playing.
list.
Looks like the same thing.
Yeah. Screw you, Charlotte. Love you.
Yeah.
Don't.
Um.
Why did you hurt me?
So this is Killer Cactus's son, who
Oh, that's
slaughtered me at Gen Con with Brennan Byrne. He was playing a version of Brennan Byrne that was sort of it was sort of restricted on deck building because he was sharing a collection with his dad. But yet, I think uh, Cactus said that he gave precedence to Ben's list for like card choices and stuff. But yeah, he did a really good job, and this is Ben is my personal pick for who I want to win this tournament because he played really, really well. He's like really, really good player. And is bringing like a really solid meta deck. The Realm Walker Echo thing is known good. This is a known solid list. Uh, and it's got some interesting, like, cool stuff in here, like Standstill. Obviously, we saw the power of that in the last game tonight with Echo.
We also saw the power of Excavate tonight.
Excavate.
So it's
Yep.
really cool to see that here. And then he's got the cheeky one copy of Celestial Knight and the Meteors in here. So that
Right.
combination can be really potent. Yeah, dude,
Swift
best of luck to
Messenger
Ben.
is really cool here, I think, too. Like, just
What's that for?
drawing into
Just
stuff.
to get to your Chaos Gravities?
I mean, it's just a tempo. It's a tempo play. Put a unit
Yeah.
on the board to block against an attack that maybe your opponent didn't think you had a blocker for, and then draw into something useful. I don't know. This is really cool though. It's got a little bit of everything.
Yep.
So
I mean,
very
Echo
cool.
Realm Walker. What are you gonna do? Moving right down to Flora, her Summer Shadow.
Flora's first tournament, right? Or no?
No. So
No.
Flora was
Okay.
actually the third member of my team in the
Oh, the
team
team
tournament.
tournament.
Me and
Yeah.
Nick. It
Cool.
was it was really really great. It was an honor to get to be on a team with her. We got to help her with some deck builds, and man, she just loves Aerodel. I am. I hate to admit it, but I'm very proud of you, Flora, for not putting in
Blue
the blue
Jaguar.
Jaguar.
Yeah.
She loves that card and she defends it. But when it came time to really bring the best, she knew she had to leave it at home. That reflects wisdom. Good for you, leaving Blue Jaguar at home. Poor Blue Jaguar. Really
Hey,
cool stuff. You've got Gilder. It's an Aerodel deck and it's an
you know,
awesome one.
you know what though? Like, this is very different than what we've seen out of 4-book Aerodel before,
It is.
or 3-book, I guess it could be. This is very, Tristan Koji kind of stuff. Like they usually do
Yeah.
this kind of thing, and like I
Free
think this
Mirror
is
Spirit,
so
man.
cool. Ocean's Gift with Mirror Spirit is so cool. Wave
X-Grow too.
Crash is one of my favorite cards from that set. You got Standstills for bypass, like explosive growth. Like, I mean, this looks really fun. I want to play
Yeah,
this list.
it's really fun. Dude, I think Wave Crash is so underplayed. I love that card.
It's a great
I
card,
love that.
and it's burned too. So
It is Josh down here
King
with
everything.
King Everything. Why not?
Yeah, we got Blood
You got
Archers, Gilder,
Blood Archer, Gilder. Yep.
Nature Powered Ice. We got Festers, which honestly probably needs to be played a little bit more often. I think it fell off the map a bit with all the Value Town going around, but I mean, look at these lists. They're still playing Knights. Every list is playing Knights. Like, they didn't go anywhere.
Or something that is worth festering.
Yeah.
So this is definitely a list. It's got some really interesting stuff in it, like the Flock Shepherds, which I think is really really cool on the Flock Shepherds to get those Gilders and the Anchor Knot like up to speed. That's really, I don't think that's something that's hard to account for in a lot of decks, I would imagine, because you're really gonna save your hard removal for like the Blood Archer maybe or the Grave Knight, but now you have this Flock Shepherd that could mess with your attack sequencing, and
Yeah,
so there's a lot of
speaking
cool
of the Grave Knight, best lists in this tournament, just for that.
stuff. Yeah, you love Grave Knight.
I love
I
Grave
love Grave
Knight. It's so much
Knight.
fun. There's
Yeah,
something just
moving.
immensely satisfying about dropping a Grave Knight turn one against a deck that, like, oh, I didn't put any allies in my first 5. I guess I'm gonna
See,
take 4.
take 4. Yep, and then it's like, okay, if you don't kill the exhausted Grave Knight, then I'm just gonna hit you again. So
Yeah.
yeah, Grave Knight's really cool.
Cat.
Killer Cactus, Impossible Spaniard.
Yep. This
I'm
is a
getting
reference to a player in our community who plays a lot of Xander. And also it has Earthquake in the deck, so you know it's gonna have some dice fixing.
It's just the joke that keeps on giving, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I Killer. I I love this guy. Like, this is such a cool deck. It's so well rounded. He's running Safeguard, and
Yeah.
he's not even in uh he's not even in like a monk control shell type thing, which is typically where you see that card. But I think that if it's a side action, right? So if you
Mm-hmm.
swing in big, or you like really reach, and then you need to protect yourself from the counter swing while you like set up an earthquake to get your board clear again or something like that, like it can really be clutch. That's kind of where I see it.
Yeah.
And the reason that I think it's so good potentially in this shell is that I ran into so many situations with all my play of Xander where
Mm-hmm.
his 6th battlefield was actually way more of a limitation than you would think.
Oh
And
yeah,
so
that's
having the
#1.
ability to swing and then go back.
Right. That's the #1 problem I run into when I play Xander. Is like I'm like 6 battlefield. You know, you build with similar archetypes that you do with like Herald or Tristan or whatever, but like he's only got 6, and I always forget that, and I'm like, oh, I thought he had 7. Like it's,
Yeah.
but
So
yeah, this
being able
list
to
is
swing in, safeguard to protect yourself from the counter swing, and then earthquake after that to like
yeah, it's
clear
really
their board
cool.
back. It's really smart.
I just want to say, like, kind of spoiler alert, but like this game already happened. I don't think it was recorded, but Killer actually played against Matt Bowers, which is this list right here, right before we went live, and he won pretty handily, I would say. I mean, Matt almost swung back with a huge tempo play with Shadow Guard, with an Immortal Commander out, and managed to bring Killer down quite a bit in life. But Killer had like a massive board and life lead for most of the game, and it against Matt. And so I've already seen this deck in action once, and it's pretty solid. The second Winged Lioness spec, which was actually super clutch, like when it came down, I was like, oh. So yeah, this I've already seen this work, put in some work. So also 3
It's good to
earthquakes,
see
2
somebody.
meteor, 3 nature's wrath. He's just blowing everything up.
Yep, which is really good, and I think that that kind of matchup. I think Matt probably knew heading in that that was going to be rough because if you look at
Oh
Matt
yeah, so much
carrying a bunch
AoE,
of
and
little
then
guys, yeah, so
yeah,
much AOE. So Matt does have the particle shields.
yep,
So
which
that's good.
came into play. Dreamlock can keep them off meteor.
Yeah. So, and again,
But
this is another one of those situations that we were talking about earlier with Josh's list, where it's like, okay, there's not even knights here, but like, I would fester the crap out of a Dreamlock Mage. Like,
oh yeah, absolutely.
yeah, Dreamlock Mage.
Especially if
God,
I get the incidental damage in elsewhere, like with like a salamander or something like that. But
yeah. So Matt's fundamental thing here, he's got Gates Thrown open for those explosive opens, and of course Noah's got the room to do all that with 7 battlefield and 4 ready spells. It really Noah's got 16 life, which is not the lowest. It's not great, but it's not the lowest. And he's got 7 battlefield and 4 spell board. Like his
yeah,
stats are genuinely so good, and it really drives home just how rough the rest of his kit can be at times. I think Matt's call here with the shadow target was he knew that Salamander Monk and Seafoam Snapper would be everywhere, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna get to do it, but because of Noah, you're not gonna get to do it. And I think
Right.
that's pretty savvy.
It is. I think, there are frequently times where I wish I could go even, just trade one die for one die on Salamander. Like, I wish there was a way to do that because so many times it's like it's always going to get more value than me out of the die.
Yeah.
And Shadow Target does that. So that is really interesting. I think I had a similar idea with that Noah could be good in this meta, and was starting to build one, but then I didn't finish it. And then now seeing Matt's list, I'm like, oh well, this is a pretty good direction to go.
Yeah.
3 of Crystal Armor. Yeah, this
Of course.
this is a cool, like a really cool tempo list that I think you look at it and you think this seems very vulnerable to lots of things, and it's true. But the thing about lists like this, these super high tempo aggro lists, is that they can come back at you out of nowhere, and you are just like, whoa, like where did that come from? With Master Wolf on the board, like again, that play earlier, it was like I think he had a snapper commander, I think, or something like that. And it's like, okay, I'm gonna Lightbringer, so I get another body. You have to swing, I have my guard up. I guard and then I shadow guard. Next turn, I summon a wolf, I am Mortal Commander, I'm swinging for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9. Like out of nowhere. And you're just like, okay. I mean, you need accelerate to do the wolf
Sure.
into commander thing, but
But
like
he's
still,
got it.
so
He's got
something
it.
like that, turns like that can absolutely just like, well, I lost, just out of nowhere, and it's really fun. It didn't work out for him last game, but we'll see how it goes in the future.
Yeah, Carl asked if this was Matt Spin on Bin's counter time decks, and
Oh, okay.
it's very similar to that shell. But one thing that's worth noting when you bring that up, Carl, I've seen Matt messing with Noah for upwards of a year now. He's kind of always had a soft spot for him, and I see him mess with it a lot. So it's really cool to see him like bring it to a tournament.
Yeah.
Moving down to Mr. Tim Ninja Dance Bat. He's a newer member of the community, so it's really good to see him
Yeah.
jumping in here. He is picking up a little bit on where Kaya left off and
Right.
bringing in the old Summon Shining Hydra. This is a world championship deck, y'all.
Yep. And looks pretty solid. Pretty expensive spell board, and not a lot of cheap. There's nothing in this is cheap, but
Yeah.
It's Odette, and Odette has a lot of control, with like her Phoenix Morn ability, with Sword of Virtue, and ultimately I think you can make up for that with like if you get the Shining Hydra combo going, like there's not, it's gonna be hard to stop.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited to see Ninja Matt play this out.
Yeah. It's pretty cool to see close combat in here.
Yeah,
Close combat's really clutch with the Hydras. And it's like
and Frostbang.
it's fine value. It's fine value.
Yeah. I don't remember if it places a wound or does a damage, but if it does a damage, then it's really good with Frostbang. But...
Yeah.
All right.
Moving down to
Hey, it's
Mr.
Carl.
He's famous for Koji the Euro game. Now he's playing Hope the first 5 games. Quit playing games with our heart, Carl. Just
It's
run
funny,
something
like
like
kind of
3X's or whatever.
kind of going a similar route as Brian B in this tournament. Just like instead of the Foggy Bear, like threat, like 2-pronged threat,
Creeper.
it's the Mirror Spirit Creeper. So I mean, this is like a 3 or 4-pronged threat, I guess. I don't know. It's just like it's a lot. But Hope has 5 spell boards, so she's or they are gonna definitely
Let me
make good
scan
use of
back
it.
through. So this is String Mage number 3. There's a
Yeah.
String Mage in Brian's list, and
Mm-hmm.
there's also a String Mage paired with the Earthquake and everything in Killer Cactus's list. So
Yep.
a lot of people are making noise about String Mage, and we see it here. this is the meta for it. I mean, there's status tokens going around everywhere and all that. So,
For sure.
yeah, really good stuff. You've got Nature's Wrath, which I think is really clutch to get Hope's battlefield unclogged in a
Yep.
pinch. You've got the Guilt Link. Man, Guilt Link Nature's Wrath is so good out of Hope.
Mm-hmm.
This is the kind of shell. This is AP Hope it shares a lot of DNA with this, and it's scary, especially in the hands of somebody like Carl who can play those first five games really, really well.
Yep.
So
And the double down,
we'll
of
listen,
course, is like,
of course.
you know, this seems like a very, there's a lot of lists in this tournament that are like really annoying to try and first five against, but double down creeper is one of the hardest things to play a round one against, or really the whole game. The last time I played against Carl when he, or was it Brian? I was playing against Brian on double down creeper. It is one of the hardest things to play around. Period. Just in Ashes, one of the hardest things, and uh, just threatening this and being able to do something completely different. That's what, open list I think is all about. Just like, you can kind of throw them off and try and get that advantage in round one. They have to play around so much. Yeah, this seems really good.
So,
Hey,
Mr.
it's
Redentor, yeah,
so this is
taking your shell.
yeah, this is really cool. Uh, I'm I when I made that list and I performed pretty well at the first Shuffle Bus Worlds, I was like feeling pretty high on it, and like I was like, this is really good. This is the best list I've ever made, and I think it's really, really, really good. And then for a long time, like I didn't play it, and I didn't see anyone else really play it. And it slowly, like I think other decks started to be able to catch up with what this list can do. But Redentor very wisely noticed that like, oh, you can actually fit Snapper into this shell and do this salamander snapper thing with very few compromises. And so it's really cool for me. Like, I don't know, I didn't compete for Builder of the Year, and I've never won a tournament. I've never even won a technically never won a top cut game in Ashes, which is really weird. Uh, but
I hadn't until a couple months ago. Yeah.
someone taking my best performing list and like saying I'm gonna take that to a tournament. I'm gonna tweak it and I'm gonna bring it to a tournament. This is like one of the coolest things for me. Like,
No, yeah. I mean,
uh,
when you love deck building, like that's absolutely
yeah, this is
that's
what
the
I
Super
want.
Bowl for you.
I want to see people take ideas
Yeah.
that I make and be like, hey, that was cool. I'm gonna make it better. Because I know
So
it can be made better, but
it's a it's it's like few compromises to get Snapper in here. I would
yeah.
say it's no compromises. Like
Well,
it's just a straight improvement almost. Like
okay.
because
So what you
your version
lose?
would have had Shadow Spirit, right?
Yes.
Oh, I know what you're saying now about losing something. You're
You,
losing a little bit of the mind game.
well, no. What you lose is Nature's Wrath. Because you like
Oh.
my list has a nature die, single nature die. Um, and really, I've realized over time too that the mind game in this particular list is not really worth it. The Double Night Open, it did put in work for me in that one tournament. One game where I went double night and they expected gates, and it did a lot of work. But the gates open is just so much stronger. It's just so good. That like it's really rare that you even want to go for the knights. It's really like
Yeah.
that's kind of your like pocket sand or whatever. But like the thing is though, like yeah, you lose the Nature's Wrath, so you lose a bit of self clear, which is scary. I know that Harold has 7 battlefield, but he still clogs with this list. He still absolutely gets clogged up. Um, but what you gain is just crazy because like Snapper, we know this is really good. You get some Fate Reflection, some more protection, and sort of that bounce back tempo removal type thing. And Realm Walker is huge. That's
Yeah.
something that slots right into this style of list so well,
Oh yeah.
and I just never was able to justify it because I thought I need Nature's Wrath, and if I can't fit in the time die for this. So I'm really curious to see if Redentor like does really really well with this, and like if the Realm Walker and the Snapper pay off in particular. Because
Yeah.
personally,
Um,
I was at a point where I thought I don't think I can improve on this list anymore, and then I saw him put this out, and I was like, oh, well, maybe there's some
yeah,
room
it's
for
really
this to
good.
go.
Clue pointing out that there's 3 Lightbringer books in here, and I think that
Yeah,
that's something that you can only justify because you're running Snapper, and you can
yes,
get rid of some of those old ones and then get it out and just keep that exhaustion train running. That's really
right.
sharp.
Well, one I mean that's one of the really strong things about the opening of this list is like gates don't open with Lightbringer in all these units. Like not only do you get 7 units on the board and still have a pseudo removal spell with your Phoenixborn, but like 2 of those units are forcing out attacks that your opponent doesn't want to make. Um, and one of the cool things about running 3 Lightbringer book is that you can do that later in the game too without
Mm-hmm.
running gates. Because sometimes I've tried multiple gates before in this list, and it never works. I never use the second
I always
gates.
end up cutting it too, and I
Yeah,
when I'm running Gates list, it's usually a 1x for me. So
right.
yeah.
But yeah, this is
All
a
right,
really
moving
cool
down.
direction. I like that.
It is moving down to Leo. It's funny, like I love Leo. I think Finch is so cool, and Schmendrix helped me workshop my Leo. Everybody, I'm Mr. Xander with the earthquakes and everything, but my best tournament performance ever was with Leo, and so he's near and dear to me. I love him. I always judge Leos that I don't see running Cobra. So
Hmm.
shame on you, Schmendrix, for not running Cobra. But you don't have to. Like he's got a lot of really cool paths to victory. The
Yeah.
small sacrifice here is interesting. Maybe you're
Hmm.
seeing something that I'm not. There's a lot of stuff. Like one of the kind of like Brian and Carl, where it's going to be just atrocious to first 5 against this thing. But this is one of the ones where I'm having a little trouble seeing through Schmendrix's thought process here a little bit. It's just there's so much going on. There's so much
There.
going on here.
Yeah. Um. One thing that's really cool about this list is like how many knights you can fit in with only a 4 color spread.
Oh wow, you're
Um.
right.
That's really interesting, and I think you could probably, either Essence Druid in round 1 to get like a double one of these out, or you can use it to pick up the second Snapper book later. Um, there's a lot of flexibility here. Uh, but yeah, I agree. I think there's some things in here that I'm like, I wonder what his thought process is on this. So maybe I'm hoping to
Yeah.
catch a game with it and see what it's up to.
Worth noting that
Shadowfire. Oh,
apart from the enchanted violinist, um, there's no follow up
there's no
on
well Anguish, but yeah, there's no mill.
English. Yeah, but other than those, like, so that's definitely lighter mill than we're
Yeah.
used to seeing with Schmendrix, and
And
so
well,
really
I mean, Finch just puts in so much work though.
it does. Finch eats X. Nick said it best. Like Finch just eats X, and so I really wish that we had Schmin in the chat. I feel bad that I don't have a whole lot to say.
Well,
Like
he
it's
is
all
dead.
good cards. I just don't. Oh, he is dead. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
it's all good cards, but I just don't. I don't quite
Don't
get
quite
it.
get
Other
it.
than it's
Yeah.
just a pile of good cards. So we'll have to see how it performs. I'm excited about that one.
Speaking of a pile of good
Shadowfire.
cards,
Yeah, no kidding.
oh creepers.
Shadowfire continuing his immaculate deck naming conventions.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
this guy sure can name a deck.
Yep.
Uh,
It is what it
he's
is.
man.
There's no confusion
It,
here.
no, absolutely not. He's got
Um.
3 Snapper books as well as the 3 Creeper books. That seems good to just keep her deck churning.
Yep.
Um, you got seeds, more self clear, ice traps. It's a pile of good cards, and actually, this is notable for Shadowfire because like Shadowfire is absolutely one of our most experimental builders. Like he's always off in La La Land doing really, really cool
Yeah.
offbeat stuff. And so this is a really, unique build. There's definitely the specific composition of cards here is unique to him. It's not like it's a net deck or
Yeah.
anything like that. But I will say that this is like a more straightforward traditional type list than you usually see
Yeah.
Shadowfire running.
Yeah. Definitely, for sure. I'm moving a little
Yeah, and
faster
we
because
I
it's getting
mean
late, but
I know, but we know and
um
we know Hope Creepers is good. We know it's good. So good luck to you, Shadowfire. It's gonna
treatment,
be
whatever. No, I'm just kidding. So treatment is on uh an Echo Salamander Snapper. Um,
Yeah.
False
Triple
Demon.
Realm Walker.
Yeah, this is cool because it's like very I mean it still does the Realm Walker thing, but it's a lot less tempo based. It doesn't have the Lightbringer. You don't have Divine, right? So no Lightbringer.
Yeah.
So, you're relying a lot more on like making good trades and stuff with this and like getting some value instead of just like tempoing out these big hits.
Yeah.
But you still do have Realm Walker, you have Tidal Shift, you have Crescendo, and Snare's really cool to see, actually. Um, I really like Ensnare a lot.
It's good.
And then yeah, there's some cool stuff here. You got Dreamlock,
Yeah.
which could be really come in handy a lot. Gates.
Yeah.
Okay, I just noticed that.
Yeah. So interesting, so you gates, and that's 9 dice with your books if you get both false demons out. You can use false demons to get the salamander books, or excuse me, to get the salamander monks clear and get your spirits. I wonder what your single die is after that. Like to
Um,
shadows, maybe? That's good.
well, the thing about False
Partnership.
Demon is that have to you don't have to make it part of your gates. You can just do one False Demon. If you do one False Demon, now you have 3 dice up. So you can go gates for
Realm
one,
Walker.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you could do Realm Walker, gates, which honestly, that sounds terrifying with Echo. This is very similar to what makes that Herald deck that I made so strong, is that
That's
when
what I
you
was thinking.
when you
Yeah.
have like a good Phoenix Born ability that's free, being able to go like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 units, one of them's a knight, and then still have like your Phoenix Born ability up. It's pretty good. It's not quite as good as Herald because I think the 7 battlefield really lets you go kind of full tilt on that.
Yeah, and then also in a
But
vacuum, personally, I would take Mark Prey over Gravity Flux.
yeah, it's way better, I think. But it can still do the same thing Mark Prey does, especially with so many like 2-1s out in the middle.
Gilders too. Yeah.
But yeah,
Tristan, the only Tristan in the tournament, and it's Cap, who we just saw play a really great Echo list. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. I'm going to sneeze. Carry on.
it's okay. So we got Foggy Bear, Tristan. So like, what?
Great.
The only target for Magnify is Herder.
Bear. Well, no, Bear. You
Well,
can.
yeah. Okay, so Bear. I'm curious. Would you ever do that though? I mean, you've already got.
Yeah,
I guess it
yeah,
does set up the mind
because
fogs.
it gets the mind fog in more reliably. You take the Bear up to Terrifying 2. But, taking Bear to
Yeah,
Terrifying 2 for a die is not gonna set the world on fire, but you're gonna end up in situations where that's relevant.
I guess so. I guess, yeah. And it's on your Phoenix Born, which is nice. It's always available,
Yeah.
as opposed to Standstill, which you have to draw into. But this is
I think this is
very
our I think this is our
interesting.
first full suite of Ice Trap,
Yeah,
which is really, I mean, Ice Trap is so good, and it's
good
like
card.
everybody was playing it for a while, especially after Ruin Dweller dropped, and then it kind of, I've been seeing a little bit less of it, so really sharp on the cap to go ahead and just bring them all. Like it's that's one of those cards that I think it's just really hard to say that you shouldn't have 3.
Yeah,
Not every deck should have 3, but when you do, it's like, yeah, that's probably fine. Like, when are you not happy to have an ice trap in your hand? It's one of those cards that really makes sense
Can
at
you
3x for me.
imagine? Can you imagine if Ice Trap was discard? How would the
Possibly.
meta look if Ice Trap was discarded?
It'd be crazy. It'd be everywhere. It'd be 3x everywhere. It'd be so good. So
Tuxedo
good.
here with the Creeper Hope as well. This time with Crab sorted in the backbone. Again, Salamander Snapper. We got
Yeah.
a Svelte 3 Raptor Herder ally suite.
Yeah.
And then
Everything
like
here is
7
spelled.
million reactions.
Yeah, no.
Like
this is why Tuxedo was so adamant that open lists still continue. It's because he wanted to bring half his deck full of reactions and just toy with you for an hour. So
yeah, I
he's
mean
playing with
this,
his food.
and the cool thing about this too, like this looks like too much, right? But most of these reactions have different triggers. Like they trigger, sorry, at different points in the round. Like you've got on attack, when you get hit, when a unit shows up, when you're attacking again, when you get like a damage spell thrown at you, and double down. Like these all, it seems like a lot, but really you can play an entire handful of reactions in a round, no problem. Like you're not going to run into situations where, oh man, I can't play this because I already reacted, or
Yeah,
maybe I
they all
don't
have
have a.
very different
Yeah,
applications. Yeah.
but yeah, this, I
Tuxedo
mean,
is such a good
what can I say?
pilot.
It looks good.
This is JK007's brother, and he always has. They share like a certain spikeness to them.
Yep.
Like they really like to play things that the community knows is strong, and they kind of are always a couple of steps ahead in terms of refining them. And so I'm really glad that we have these players in our community, and we'll see how Tuxedo does. He's a champion, and a multiple time finalist. So for him to bring something that's just a really straight ahead hope creeper list, I think that's going to be another really good barometer on where that archetype is sitting in the meta. And you really want players like Tuxedo piloting those lists so that you can
Mhm.
figure out how good they really are. So
Yeah.
um,
It's also
I'm excited to see.
interesting to note that the number of conjurations in this deck is almost as big as the deck. Kind of cool. It's
25.
actually it's
Look at
actually
that.
bigger after your first 5. Your conjuration pile
It
is
is
bigger than your
26.
deck. That's funny.
You love to hear it.
Waves. So the host of the tournament himself playing Fiona. In
Pause.
what a dice spread. This is so cool. Like I love
Yeah,
these colors together. I think they just look cool together.
they do.
Um, this is something.
It's awesome.
What
Like, first of
is
all, you're
happening?
running the player, you running the polarity mage. You got Shepard to get it back,
Yeah.
so you have the little like mind
Only two
mage
mind
engine
maze?
going. Yeah, only two, but
Is that
he
is
he's
that
got he's
legal?
he's got things to do. Well, here's the thing: if it's legal or not is kind of up to Waves because he's brought all the laws. So
Oh,
legality
right,
is
right.
kind of
Good point.
that's kind of
I
what
will
he's
make
doing.
it
He
legal.
decides. Yeah, he's deciding what's allowed. Yeah, you got law of fear, law of grace, law of domination, law of domination, law of domination. That's a great card. I love law
Yeah.
of domination. It's so cool, and you never
It's
see it.
it's so good with Essence Druid.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but like it's the law that actually makes sense with freaking Emperor Lion.
Yeah.
Like it's the only law that makes sense with Emperor Lion.
Yeah. It is very interesting. I can't help but feel like if you could just splash one time to be able to do the snapper salamander monk thing, it might be.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Props for Waves for not, following the crowd.
Nope. He's
Dance to your
gonna
own beat,
let us know how
Waves.
these laws are.
Um, the chain creation. I don't know. This is really interesting. I don't
This is
know
cool. I'm gonna love seeing.
what to make of this list, but it's definitely one of the cooler ones I see in here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Look at those laws, man. I want to
so
see
many
it.
laws.
We have taken longer than I thought. It just takes a long
Yeah.
time to get through open lists. Like everybody brought such cool stuff. I think you're definitely seeing some archetypes emerge and some things that are coming to the forefront with lists like this. It's really cool to see once again that people really do build differently for open versus closed.
Yeah. Oh,
Especially when you
absolutely.
look at the people who've been doing it for a really long time, like Tuxedo and Brian and Carl and Cactus, and you see some of the trends in like it's not just the specific cards that they're choosing to bring and like the tech pieces to cover the field. It's proportions. Like it's how many of each thing. You have some decks that take the lots of 1x approach and things like that. So it's cool to see the different approaches to it. And just once again, shout out to Waves for
Yeah,
making
definitely
open
Waves.
lists
Thanks.
happen. So cool that we get
And
to like look at all these fun decks and talk about them and see how they shake out.
yep. And we'll be more than happy and excited to give the finalists of this Winter Open some invitations to the Worlds event that we're putting on at the end of the year, which is really cool.
Yeah.
So we'll see from this our first two people in that Worlds tournament.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
Yep, that's gonna be the very first two invites. So, well, we are already over time. So thanks you guys for tuning in and everything. This is our first Phoenix League stream. So we're going to be doing more in the future, and we're going to figure out what content makes sense for these streams. But for a first stab, I had a lot of fun tonight. It was really cool to get a game in and talk about some lists and just get a kind of a picture of where we're at in the meta right now. So, Jeremy, I appreciate your time and for getting all the tech stuff set
Well, I
up. I don't
mean,
know
sort of.
what we do. Yeah, at first, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I'll never start a podcast or a stream without some kind of technical difficulty, but yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in tonight, and thanks for staying up late with us on a Monday.
Yeah.
And happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day for the next 40 minutes.
What was it that your daughter called
Oh, my
it?
daughter she said, Happy King McJr. Day. I was like, the King McJr. sounds like delicious. Like, I want to order that. You know what I mean?
Like, is it a Burger King? Is it a Burger King
King,
sandwich?
or it's a crossover, you know? It's actually Five Guys. They're just trolling everyone.
Oh, got it. As a
But
final note before we get out of here, I'm gonna have to look up and see if that player who was injured was okay. But I was wrong. The Cowboys won actually fairly convincingly, which leads me to believe that this may not be real life. This could be some sort of alternate dimension
you'll
type
wake
thing.
up.
We haven't won a road playoff game since the year I was born. So this is a little hard to believe for me, but go Dallas. What are you gonna do? So,
yeah.
See it. All right.
Next
well,
thing we
good
know,
night, everybody.
next thing we know, Vikia will be meta, and
That's it.
And then it's over. Embrace the heat death of the universe because it's all over. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time on the Phoenix League Live. Bye.